राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपात्तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। 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 नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय। Hare Krishna. So welcome back to this our study of chapter 2 of Canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam. We had a break yesterday and today we are resuming. So just to give a brief recapitulation of what we are into. So second canto is begins with the conversation between Srila Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Sukadeva Goswami responding to the questions of Parikshit Maharaj, deeply appreciating the question which he has asked, two questions which he has asked. What should one do while living and what one should not hear, chant, remember? What one should hear, chant, and remember while living. So the first step in God realization is the first chapter of the second canto, where Sukadeva Goswami appreciates the questions, answers what should not be chanted, heard, and remembered. And then he talks of what actually should be chanted, heard, and remembered. Then he talks about the quality of life and not too worried about the quantity of life because it's about to leave. So it's an important discussion. And then he speaks about the path of meditating on the Virat Rupa form of the Lord, where the soul is Garbhodaksha, the body, the universal form is called Hiranya Garbha. So all the different planetary systems, they are located at different parts of this Virat Purusha. And there are different things, the sense organs, the sense devatas, how do they appear, that has been explained. And then we come to second chapter, where in the first verse, Sukadeva Goswami is giving the example of Lord Brahma, who at the dawn of creation meditates on the Virat Rupa, understanding the universe to be a manifestation of the Lord. And then he again revives his memory to again be able to create planetary system and living beings on each planet. And then Sukadeva Goswami rejects the Karmakanda process and glorifies the path of liberation. And later on, as we read today, they will describe about the super soul. Because a yogi who is free from material desire can meditate on the super soul. And by such meditation, he can actually elevate his pranavayu through the 6 chakras and achieves a kind of perfection called labdho pashanti, direct achievement and realization of the Vaikuntha planets. Can go there. And the second path is when the yogi is not free from material desires, then he has to go through the Krama Mukti, through Virat Rupa meditation. And that path is also described. And then after that, Sukadeva Goswami establishes Sadhana Bhakti as the best of all the paths. So that is chapter number 2, summarized here as the Ashtanga Yoga process. See here what is under discussion. Yeah. Right. Okay, your thing not coming next. So in Ashtanga Yoga process, Yama, Niyama, and Asana are common. And there's Pranayama, Pratyahara. So these 5 stages are common and necessary for all. Srila Prabhupada gives a description in terms of the devotional understanding of Yama, Niyama, Asana. The purpose is to chant the holy name of the Lord. That's why these things are taken as stepping stones for that. They are not goal in themselves, neither in Ashtanga Yoga, neither in Bhakti Yoga. But Bhakti Yoga, because it's the culmination of all yogas, so like Karma Yoga, there is activity. Like Jnana Yoga, we cultivate the knowledge of scriptures, Western literatures. Like Ashtanga Yoga, we sit down and chant and, do some tapasya. So it takes the best of each method, but the focus and the goal is to please the Supreme Lord. And the main ingredient of pleasing the Supreme Lord is our desire. In the other places, it's not so much about desire, it's about the process itself. And the process is given up after the goal is attained. But here, the desire of pleasing Krishna, which is the main ingredient of serving Krishna, it is forever, it is eternal. It keeps on increasing. And that is why one of the ways in which a devotee's advancement can be judged is by his desire to serve. And by the way he takes up, sacrifices and pains, expand his service. This is a very common thing, which that's why you see all the great souls extending far and wide and trying to spread the mission. Mahaprabhu himself traveled throughout the, throughout the land of Bharatvarsha to preach, propagate the holy name. So like that, these 5 steps are there, and then Pratyahara is there. After Pratyahara, if there is desire, that means the person is not yet fully free from the material desires of enjoyment. Then, if desire is there, yes, then he's called attached yogi. And then Dharana Ashraya, the object to be meditated upon is Virat Rupa. And if there is no desire of material enjoyment, then desire is no, then Dharana Ashraya becomes Paramatma. So, till the time attachment is there, intelligence is not pure, material desires are there, one has to meditate on the Virat Rupa of understanding how everything in this world is existing as an element of the Lord, connecting everything of this world to the Supreme Lord. And by doing so, one becomes free from the dualities and one loses the desire to enjoy. And then one comes to the level of Dharana Ashraya, come to the level of meditating on the Paramatma feature of the Lord. And in case that yogi leaves with desire, right, then there is a Krama Mukti. Then he will go to Vaishnava Loka, Vaishvanar Loka, then he will go to Shishumar Loka, Mahar Loka, Brahma Loka. And then he will go through all these coverings of the universe, pierce the false ego, pierce Mahatattva, pierce Pradhan, and come to liberation. That is the path. So the process of purification continues. That. And if he's meditating on the Paramatma, he will come to the level of Dhyana and Samadhi, and come to Labdhopashanti, the Brahman realization. And then the Sat Chakra Yoga, Prana from Mooladhara Chakra to Swadhisthana Chakra to Manipur Chakra, Anahat Chakra, Vishuddha Chakra, Agya Chakra, and then he will pierce the skull and the soul will leave from there and he can situate himself on any of the Vaikuntha planet. He attains liberation. But the devotees, they don't bother about either of them. The devotees simply chant the holy name of the Lord and depend on the mercy and grace of the Lord to take them. Like that day, Mahamudra was giving the class, he was telling that how can an ant ever touch the moon? You're there? Someone was there in the class? How can an ant ever, by any amount of logistic following, the ant can never touch the moon. The moon is. But then he was telling him the ant takes shelter of the flower. And then the pujari plucks the flower and does not see it carefully. And puts it on the head of Lord Shiva. Then by the good fortune of the ant that she comes out of the flower and then moon is there on the head, can touch them. Or in our devotees, there are ants and that green color of thing, you know, sometimes they're on the garland. Wow, it is there on the body of the person, the devotee. Otherwise, it can never reach on its own, but then somehow. So similarly, the devotee depends only on the grace of the Lord. He says that whether you kill me or you sustain me, that is also up to you. Which kind of birth you want to give me, that is also up to you. Maro bhi rakho bhi, jo ishta tuhar. Nitya dase prati tuadi. I am your servant forever. I am not dependent on any kind of liberation to be your servant. I am your eternal servant. Amitav Nitya dasa, not anitya dasa, not temporary. So devotee's mood is that as in the devotional service, the progress is in the deepening of the faith, not in these terms of externals of going to planets or uplifting the pranavayu. The devotee doesn't bother about that. His botheration, his focus is on deepening the faith. Because our advancement in terms of the nine-fold, 9 stages of Bhakti Yoga, they are all stages of deepening of faith. Ado, Shraddha, Tatha, Sadhu, Sangha. Faith is the element which gets deepened. Prema means complete faith. Nishtha means staunch faith. The person not get distracted. Till Nishtha, Anishchit Bhajan Kriya is the stage of wavering faith. So that faith, we have to know it different from knowing. Faith is defined in Shastra as Shraddha. Shraddha means that understanding which drives a person. That understanding by which he makes decisions and he takes a call, as we say, takes a call on that. So, and faith in general can be, sometimes Prabhupada uses faith also as Shraddha. But in discrimination, there's a knowledge part, knowing things, and there's a part of believing it to the core of our heart, making that belief as our very basis of our existence. Shraddha, that means that which holds a person, right? So, for example, suppose we have that faith that if I don't eat, I'll die. That's a Shraddha. Hiranyakashipu did not die. But that's a Shraddha, and we will die actually if we don't eat. So Shraddha means that which makes the person exist in his understanding. That is Shraddha. Shraddha, that holds the person. Shraddha sabde Vishwas koile. So Bhakti Maharaj described Vishwas means it's a Vishesh Swas. Vishesh Swas. That means it's like a child who is completely comfortable in the lap of the mother. Similarly, the devotee has the faith deepens. He is completely dependent on the grace of the Lord. No anxiety, no worries. Everything in this existence is simply working under the arrangement of the Lord. So that is the deepening of faith. So for us, that is advancement. How we rise from Ado Shraddha to Nishtha and to further to Prem. These stages are not directly concerned with us, but they are still given because Sukadeva Goswami, as a merciful Acharya, he's addressing the need of everyone. People are saying, I am kuch Ashtanga yoga karna hai. There in Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is a desire fulfilling tree. All kind of yoga will find their philosophies existing in Bhagavatam. So this is the content of the second chapter. Now we'll go to verse by verse study as we've been doing.
This Bhagavatam kicked out the Kaitav Dharma. It is said that. So it's not the other processes, but the Bhagavas who is mental speculation that is kicked out.
Correct. So other processes are kicked out. The Kaitav Dharma, the goal of Dharma, Artha, Kam, Moksha is kicked out.
Yeah.
But the ultimate goal of explaining all these paths also is to glorify Bhakti in comparison. So like he will say that, and after describing everything from verse number 33 to 37, the 5 verses will glorify the path of Bhakti Yoga. So in comparison, the half knowledge is not given. These processes are never glorified as the end point. Rather, it is shown in Bhagavatam that the people who have followed karma, jnana, or yoga, they have always turned to Bhakti Yoga. But anybody practicing Bhakti Yoga has never turned back. So they have been used as a staircase to indicate Bhakti Yoga. They are not in themselves, told as a means of perfection or advice for perfection. And if anybody has any chance of misunderstanding, Prabhupada's purports are there. You just cannot afford to misunderstand it. It's too solid, too emphatic about that. So in case there was any chance of understanding any purports of Bhagavatam as indicating towards any other goal other than Prema Bhakti, then Prabhupada's purports have closed that door. Close that window, close that small creek also, wherever, somewhere this comes like that verse is there. Bhagavad Gita 11.55. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yashasmi tattvata tato mam vishate tat vishate. Vishate means logo lagega. Vishate means entering it. Vishate. Prabhupada gives a solid purpose saying Vishate. मतलब ऐसा नहीं है green parrot green tree में गया तो एक हो गया. Parrot is there, tree is there, it's there still existing. So there are many places where some kind of Kavalyam word is used, some kind of Parabrahma, Brahman is used, some Gyan is just Brahman, Parabrahman. Take out these words out of context. So that is why Prabhupada said, last time we were reading, that no one can become a doctor by reading the books on his own. He needs to be trained. Even after reading books in a college under a teacher, still one needs to receive practical training as an apprentice under a guide. This is true for any field. Whether one want to do law or one want to, be a doctor of any kind, homeopathic, allopathic, Ayurvedic, naturopathic, he has to do apprentice. Even after studying in a bona fide college, from bona fide books, through a bona fide teacher, still that is a personal training. So similarly, Prabhupada said training means a younger devotee should associate and serve the senior devotee, and that's the best training. In his many letters, Prabhupada writes. Gurukul training should be that the Gurukul boys should be, serving the teacher. That's a Gurukul parampara. Through that submissive service, actually, they realize the Vedic truth. So training has a lot of important aspect of service. It's not just seminar-based training where webinar, seminar, and PPTs and all those things. They are there as a part of giving some information and knowledge. But ultimately, that Shraddha becomes stronger and one becomes purified of material desires by serving the great souls. And that's why in Gurukul, Prabhupada also told, and traditionally, the senior most people, the sannyasis, will actually teach the youngest people, the children. And that is done in Swaminarayan Sampradaya till date also. The best of their people, the oldest of their people will be there in the Gurukul at Saharanpur and teaching the trainees. Gurukul also, they have, and trainees also there. So they will be the one teaching them. Because they are pure in their motive and they are not managerially inclined, but in ISKCON, somehow it's still 50-year-old organization. Everyone does everything as per the need. So, actually, the highest of these things like cow protection, deity worship, Gurukul training, the best of the people should be put. But because we are a preaching movement, so the best effort goes in preaching and expanding preaching, which is also essential. But these services should not be undermined. They are also very vital for individual also and for the institution. So everyone cries there. Yesterday we were in the meeting. You were there too. So when the DT ministry comes and says, whoever cannot do anything else, good for nothing, they are made pujaris. And then Goseva ministry will come and say, whoever has done some affair with women, whoever has done some golmaal with money, send them to Goshala. And so not that, the thing I glorified that rest of the people take up those services. Like somebody has some issue, you can't preach in city. But that's not the case. From Krishna's perspective, they are very high.
Yeah.
These are very high. Go Brahmana Hitaj. Krishna's perspective, they are very high. Krishna loves the cows more than anyone else. Even for Brahmana and cows, he loves cows more. Now, bulls do some physical work. They do farming and they do some kind of thing. Cow doesn't do that. Cow just eats and sits. But he loves cow more than bulls. And at least cow also gives milk, which is very well. At least gives milk. Calf doesn't do anything, and he loves calf more than the cow also. Why? Because Krishna reciprocates with how much the person loves him, not with how much the person does things. He can do whatever is his capacity. Ultimately, reciprocation is the feelings in the heart of that person. Very important principle. Radha Mother was revealing. Actually, these great souls only get this kind of interpretation. We can just hear and kind of borrow it. For us to get, because we are caught up into achievement, accomplishment, competition, proving oneself, establishing oneself, being stable. All these things are there in our mind, so we can't think from that paradigm of complete affection for the Lord. This is the first nice thing. So, such a beautiful realization. It was so relieving and so beautiful. He told it one lecture.
11th canto में you were talking the other day कि last में ज्ञान का भी glorify किया है.
Yeah, to bewilder the people. Bhakti is very great secret. It has to go from heart to heart. Even by reading Bhagavatam, one may not come to the conclusion of Bhakti.
So पूरे भागवत में भक्ति को glorify किया. आप कह रहे हैं कुछ 5% भक्ति की meditation भी आगे chapter में. Vision में भक्ति glorify किया 10th 11th में भी किया ही होगा. तो किया ही है.
He is telling about Jnana. He is telling that Parikshit Maharaj, now I have told you everything. Now you remember. Now you remember that you are not this temporary body, and reminding him of the Jnana. So from our perspective, it is all Bhakti Yoga only. But from others' perspective, they can take it as, oh, just see the Jnana. It's a way of interpreting. But yeah, Sukadeva Goswami does give them that option. Because that's the mercy of the Lord. Because he is there to fulfill the desire of the conditioned soul. That desire includes its desire to follow any path. Krishna creates varieties of paths which ultimately culminate in bhakti. But when and how long will it take, that's up to the living entity. Krishna doesn't decide that. Krishna doesn't decide that. That's why that big discussion which comes in Madhurya Kadamini, who gives bhakti? Krishna doesn't give bhakti. But if he gives, then he will be partial. He gives to some, he doesn't give to some, he will be partial. So bhakti is caused as it. Bhakti is the cause of bhakti. Bhakti in the heart of Madhyama Adhikari is the cause of bhakti in the heart of, people who are having sufficient sukrit. Bhakti only is the cause, even not that Madhyama Adhikari devotee. Why does Madhyama Adhikari give? He feels elated by bhakti. Na? He has bhakti. He has heard from somewhere, he's chanting something, he feels, he tells, chalo, mandir chalo, thoda kya kya. So bhakti is a hetu. There are no hetu. Bhakti itself is the cause of bhakti. Bhakti in the heart of Madhyama Adhikari causes bhakti in the heart of other people. Uttama Adhikari doesn't share that directly. He sets an example. People will see him and get a Sukriti and get a lot of inspiration also. And in due course of time, they will become bhaktas. But active preaching is done by Madhyama Adhikari. And why he does it? Because he's inspired by bhakti within his heart. So ultimately, bhakti is the cause of bhakti. That's how he proves it. It's a long discussion, but it's a very beautiful discussion. That Krishna doesn't give bhakti. Bhakta gives bhakti. Why? Because Bhakta has bhakti, he gives bhakti. So that is up to the living entity. And the Vedic scriptures are given so that the living entities who have turned away from the Lord. Maya Mukta Jiva Nahi Swatah Krishna Gyan. Can't understand Krishna. Jivera Kripa Kaile Krishna. So he wrote his love letters. So it's up to the living entity to read it. And the living entity alone cannot read Shastra, so he sends Guru. The Guru is Chaitanya Charitamrita Krishna Goswami. Krishna only comes in the form of Guru. Inside is Paramatma, outside is coming as Diksha Guru and Siksha Guru. Same, Lord is empowering, Lord is manifesting. So it's all a plan of the Lord to reclaim the living entity, but then how and when the living entity will come, that is still up to the desire of the living entity. It's his will. Nobody can force. Krishna doesn't force, although he makes all arrangement, all facilities for it. So we are responsible for our desires and choices. So, yeah. So first verse we saw how the Brahmaji also becomes forgetful, and then Krishna reminds him. And then in the second text, Sukadeva Goswami is saying that the way of presenting Vedic sound is so bewildering that it directs the intelligence of people to meaningless things like the heavenly kingdom. And conditioned soul, because it's always desiring pleasure, is hovering into these kind of heavenly pleasures, going here, going there. But they do not relish any tangible happiness in such places. So Prabhupada gave a whole description where all the living entity can go, but it will not achieve real happiness except when it goes to the kingdom of God. Now we will see. Third verse. Let's recite together. Ata kavi namasi yavadartha syadhyamanto vyavasaya buddhi siddhenartharth nayati tatra parishramah tatra samikshana.
For this reason, the enlightened person should endure only for the minimum necessities of life, while in the world of names, he should be intelligently fixed and never endure for unwanted things, being competent to perceive practically that all such endeavors are merely hard labor for nothing.
Yeah. I think we discussed a part of this also. No? Maybe I read it. The world of names.
Yeah, it's discussed.
We have analysis coming about.
This was third ho gaya, tha. So one has to be able to see that. And that is called a Shastra Chakshu. It's a world of names. All what people are aspiring for to change their mental situation is the mental illusory state. So this we discussed Pramatta, Jagari of names of
Samsung iPhone, Samsung iPhone.
Samsung to iPhone, Maruti to Mercedes, from Dharavi to New York. It's a state of names, nothing else. One should not get caught up into that. This one we did not do, right? This one we are going to start.
When
Satyam
there are
Shito ki kashipo prayase barho susite ambarhanakim Satyam jalo kim purudhanya patrya digvad kalato satyam kitu.
when there are ample earthly flats to lie on, what is the necessity of cots and beds? When one can use his own arms, what is the necessity of a pillow? When one can use the palm of his hand, what is the necessity of variety of utensils? When there is ample covering or the skins of a tree, what is the necessity of clothing?
So basically, Sukadeva Goswami's enthusiasm is because the beginning also, first chapter also, he says this Sharmi is night time they're wasting, daytime they're wasting. Their criticism is like the chastisement of a doctor who is giving a medicine and telling why it should be become dangerous. This incident has been discussed in Bhakti when there's a talk about different kind of prajalpa. One kind of prajalpa is criticism. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes very heavily about one should not criticize. But then he quotes, is Sukadeva Goswami criticizing or not criticizing the karmas? But he is criticizing that these foolish people, they have thousands of things to hear and they have so much to sleep in night and earn money in day. Heavily criticized. Is it an offense? Is it wrong? So he explains that actually for the sake of enlightening the student, the teacher may give the example. That is not considered any kind of offense, not considered any kind of fault. So in this mood of compassion, Sukadeva Goswami challenging why there should be cots and beds and pillows and utensils and clothing and everything. Modern civilization, can we say? So many fashion houses are there. Jai Hind collections. Go there to take one shirt, it may take you 3 hours to buy that. So much collection. Colors, combinations, buttons of different kinds. Somehow, after coming to Krishna consciousness, one of the greatest happiness for me was that I don't have to make too many choices. Otherwise, choosing one thing, one frame of glass or one shirt or one t-shirt or one jeans pant or one shoe, like hellish. Hours and after purchasing, there will never any satisfaction. Because somebody will say, kya kharidu? That's the end of all the hard work. So it was so tough. After that, dhoti, kurta, kopin was the best. Undergarments are so costly. Branded ones.
Yes.
They are worth that. Branded ones. In the other bridge, you can buy 2 sets of t-shirts and pant in lesser price than a branded underwear. So costly. The kopin, nothing. When the dhoti is no more useful. Pado bano. It was one of the most exciting things in Vaishnav. These are brahmachari excesses. So he's saying that how even a moment of time and energy should not be wasted in arranging these material resources. One should be just satisfied with whatever one gets without making extra endeavor to achieve all these things. So here is described the only way of attaining perfection for the competent person. So this is the kind of detachment with which a person is supposed to come while walking on the path of transcendence. This is the entry gate. Now, however, we are recruited. We are not we did not walk on the path of verses. We did not come searching. Where is God? Who is God? What's the goal of life? So that's why we are carrying all these desires along with our on the path of transcendence also. But actually, if you see the previous times, Like you read this book, Journey Home, you've read. So Homsar Maharaj meeting, they all voluntarily became what they were. Whether it was Tatwala Baba or whether it was Vishakashan Baba, whether it was that, Baba was telling Ramayana in Ayodhya. Everyone has just taken that path by their own choice. Nobody was preached. They came by their own conviction. So they were totally detached. They had no attraction. They've already done with it. They just do not have that attraction. While we are brought in the stage where we still have material attachment. But then still, that is the mercy. That's we should understand that actually we are attached. Actually, we are meant for Pravritti path. Hardly any one of us, maybe if kind of person was meant for Nivritti path. I don't know if we would have come to ISKCON, any one of us would have thought of just renouncing the world and doing something. Even if people have some renounced temperament, what they do, what many of people do, is that they get into some kind of social service mode. And that becomes their job. Because they have some renunciation. They don't want to be in the mainstream line of sense gratification. So they start helping somebody or other. And if you see sometimes the YouTube videos, so many advertisements come. He's running a Goshala, they're running a school for deaf and dumb, they're helping the people who are blind. So many varieties, hundreds of varieties of social service people do. That is their renunciation. They're not into sense gratification, but they cannot come to the path of transcendence. Coming to the path of transcendence, especially on the path of bhakti, is only because of the mercy of the Vaishnava. It's not because of either our qualification or our eligibility. So that competence now we have to develop. Now we have got admission. जैसे कभी कभी बोलते तुम्हारा दीक्षा के लिस्ट में नाम डाला आईडीसी कंप्लीट कर लो एक्चुअली आईडीसी कंप्लीट होने के बाद नाम जाता है लेकिन अब क्या इंटरव्यू हो रहा है और नाम जा रहा है अटक जाएगा तो बोलते क्या ब्राह्मण दीक्षा के लिए पक्षाश्री हुआ या नहीं तो 2 बार चालू किया बीच में छोड़ दिया 10 साल से जब रहा है नाम चलो नाम डाल दो कृपा बरस रही है ले लो भक्ति शास्त्री 1 साल में कंप्लीट कर लो राइट बट एज डिटरमाइंड वी आर आफ्टर वी गेट दीक्षा बोले आप क्या जरूरत So we don't earn that eligibility and qualification. But we have to understand that we have got into Brahmachari ashram, the ashram of renunciation. We are all Brahmacharis now, more specifically addressing to the Brahmachari. You have to earn that qualification. That is complete detachment from everything material. That's the standard of a person, Not worried, not bothered. This thing or that thing, this kitchen or that kitchen, this bed or this room or that room. It's all okay. Because he just focused on meeting the basic necessity of life, and the mind is focused on attaining the Supreme. But because our mind is not yet focused on attaining the Supreme, because of lack of that level of Shraddha, so our mind gets too absorbed into the things around us, surrounding us, and get too disturbed also when things don't work out the way we desire them to work out. But one should understand by reading Bhagavatam and gradually elevate oneself. Prabhupada writes a very long purport. Necessities of life for protection, comfort of the body must not be unnecessarily increased. So he gives an example of, healthy lives. He says about animals, they do not know how to cook or prepare food stuff, yet they still live healthy lives more easily than the human beings. Human beings, after cooking into, first they make oil and ghee, then they cook into that, and then they increase their cholesterol, then they go to doctor. It's like a whole thing they do. After the doctor tells naturopathy, jao, और कच्चा गाजर मूली खाए घी ऑयल और शक्कर और नमक इसकी और देखो भी मत ये सब है नेचुरल वे में है गाजर के अंदर शक्कर है मूली के अंदर नमक है जो चाहिए सॉल्ट वो है उसमें तो वो बंद कर देता है सब वो बनाने के लिए इतना फैक्ट्री इंडस्ट्री लगाया इतना पैसा कमाया पिज्जा पास्ता खाने के लिए एंड वो बोलता है नेचुरोपैथी वाला कुछ नहीं खाओ गाजर मूली खाओ तो पहले ही खा सकते था सो इट इज अ राउंड सर्कल कम्स बैक एट द सेम प्लेस पहले आदमी हैंडपंप से पानी निकालता या कुएं से निकालता फिर उन्होंने बोला नहीं मोटर लगाएंगे पानी चढ़ाएंगे सब करेंगे ये करेंगे फिर बाद में फिल्टर वाटर बॉटल आ गया अभी वाटर बॉटल में क्या आता है उल्टा लटकाने के लिए शक्ति नहीं होता है बॉटल के ऊपर दे करके ऐसे ऐसे दबाना पड़ता है नल के बोला हैंडपंप आ गए the course we polluted so much thing there were so many things we do that so many things actually I'm not going to tell today. Srila Sukadeva Goswami is giving the idea here that the reserve energy of human life, which is far superior to that of animals, must be simply utilized for self-realization. One must realize the nullity. Nullity, I don't know whether anything like that is there or not. But nullity means means uselessness, worthlessness of the material phenomenon, considering it a passing phantasmagoria, and must endeavor to make a solution to the miseries of life. Self-complacence with a polished type of animal civilization is delusion. So then they say that, great sages and saints, they did not live in palatial building, but they left immense treasure of high knowledge with all perfection. They did the highest welfare work with taking the least facilities. Kamal Lochanpu once he was asked, what do you do? He said, we consume the least and we give out the most. दो टाइम प्रसाद बस और समाज के लिए कितना बड़ा काम कर रहे हैं एनलाइटनिंग और गिविंग सेमिनार सेशंस काउंसलिंग गाइडिंग इतना काउंसलिंग ब्रह्मचारी करता है उतना काउंसलिंग बाहर के काउंसलर से लेने जाएंगे तो बहुत पैसा लगेगा जितना हम लोग फोन पे कर देते हैं रात को 11 बजे तक ऐसा कर ये मंत्र जप कर और ये सेक्शन पढ़ डू आवर पार्ट मिल गया तो बट आउटसाइड वर्ल्ड यू गो दे हैव नो सॉल्यूशन आल्सो जस्ट फॉर हियरिंग दे टेक मनी मिनट के हिसाब चार्ज होता है कितना सेशन कितना देर का सेशन हुआ उसके हिसाब से बिल बन के आता है और हम लोग तो सब कर देते हैं मैरिज काउंसलिंग भी कर देते हैं प्री मैरिटल काउंसलिंग भी कर देते हैं पोस्ट मैरिज काउंसलिंग भी कर देते हैं घर का झगड़ा हो उसका काउंसलिंग भी कर देते हैं इसमें कुछ साधना में इश्यू है सेवा में इश्यू है जॉब में इश्यू है बॉस के साथ इश्यू है सब ऑल काउंसलिंग अवेलेबल ब्रह्मचारी का अंतर्जाम बहुत जबरदस्त है कहीं मिलेगा जाके देखो काउंसलर्स का रेट बहुत हाई है डॉक्टर से ज्यादा काउंसलर का रेट हाई होता है क्योंकि मेंटल ट्रबल है ना तो वी टेक द लीस्ट and give the most. So we are highly efficient people. That's what our acharyas have done. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, high-ranking ministers, they left behind immense writing and transcendental knowledge. While residing only for one night underneath one tree, they did not live even 2 nights under the same tree. What to speak of well-furnished room with modern amenities. Jiva Goswami wrote 4 lakh verses when there were no computers, no typewriters, no voice typewriter. Now you can speak, eh? तो जी आई एम कमिंग लेट कीप मिल्क बोला तो टाइप हो जाता है ठीक है ना क्योंकि उस टाइम में लिख दिया उन्होंने टीका टिप्पणी सब लिख दिया क्या so called comforts of life are not actually helpful for progressive civilization rather they are detrimental to such progressive life so that's why that voluntary acceptance of suffering in the form of either brahmacharya ashram, vanprastha ashram, sannyas ashram. That's all recommended because so-called comfort they are not helpful. So says a comfortable life and advancement in Krishna consciousness go very quickly. Find in Bhagavad Gita. Advancement in spiritual life and so-called comfort don't go very together. Just like the moist fuel and blazing fire will not work together. Moist fuel, blazing fire will not come. So much comfortable and luxury there will not come. So it should be yuktahar. It should be mild because too much austerity also we can't. Can't function in that, and too much luxury also we can't function. That's why the Earth planet is planet where there's a balance between suffering and so-called happiness, and human life is where there's a little balance of that. So he says. If one is not accustomed to abiding by the life of renunciation and self-abnegation from the beginning, one should try to get into the habit at a later stage of life, as recommended by Srila Sukadeva Goswami, and that will help one to achieve the desired success. So now again he continues, and the translation is produced in the form of a commentary. You will see.
So when sometimes we fall sick, so it is observed that we are taking much care of our body from falling sick after. Means yes, what degree it is.
See, all these questions get answered as our desire to serve and please Krishna becomes stronger. Till the time this part is not revealed to us, how do I sincerely serve and please Krishna? To that degree, we will not get a balance here also. These are not two different things. To the degree we become sincere in our own heart, to that degree we will know what I need, what I don't need. Because it's not possible for any manager, any counselor, any authority to decide what is the right line. Because needs are different. People's needs are different based on what is the culture, what is the background, how they have come, what is their mind's need. So we only ourselves have to see where is the best balance where I can, serve Krishna. So the more we make our goal clear, our purpose very clear, and our intensity will increase. To that degree, we ourselves will be guided by Paramatma. Paramatma is there in the heart to guide every individual devotee at each stage of life, in each situation, what is the perfect balance. There's no other way. There's no other Veda, Purana, Upanishad, lecture, seminar, webinar, which can tell कि क्या balance है. आज जो balance है, कल नहीं होगा. For one person in the same situation. आज जो सिचुएशन है कल नहीं होगी. एक ही सिचुएशन में दो लोग हैं, दोनों के लिए एक ही बैलेंस नहीं. So it's so individual that Paramatma only has to do that. Dadami Buddhi Yogamtam is the only solution for perfect balance. There's no other way. We can have broad guidelines. We can have some consultation. We can have some thought, discussion. That's why the rules and regulations are made. Aao, muh dikhao, attendance lagao. These are all there so that there's some discipline. Otherwise, mind will cheat us. But even after putting attendance, with what degree we chant, with what inspiration we chant, how do we do our daily things? External things may be superficially managed and organized and observed to a certain degree. But who in this creation has the capacity to watch the feelings and the emotion and the devotion with which we do things? That nobody can do that. But that is the substance of bhakti. The substance of bhakti is inside. But the external things are made so that we have the right facility where we can inspire the internal part. सूखा लकड़ी दिया है, घास दिया है, माचिस दिया है, स्टिक दिया है, तो अब चांस है कि वो लेगा, माचिस जलाएगा, आग लगेगी. So similarly, the facility is provided so that we can awaken our internal desire. The goal of everything is to awaken the internal desire and become totally focused on serving Guru and Krishna. And somebody had that desire, for him, external situation never matter. But for somebody who doesn't have a sadhaka, external situation do matter. But by taking help of this external situation, one should awaken that desire and become more and more detached from the external situation. But that will change. So that is how things work. So now he's asking, suppose sadhaka is asking, how can I get rid of cold? So in this verse, so there was a saying, angry is at such an object. Is there no torn clothes lying on the road? Because that's the translation of this word. Are there no torn clothes? Do the trees, they not give charity? Do the rivers not give water? Caves or mountain, are they closed? Or above all, does the Almighty Lord not protect the fully surrendered souls? So what then do the learned sages go to flatter those who are intoxicated by heart and wealth? So he says, there are not torn clothes lying on the road. Okay, clothes I'll wear, but how will I relieve my hunger? Are there no trees which nourish others? You don't charge anything. But then water, what bad intelligence you have? Have the rivers gone dry? But will I have to protect myself from the hail? A grass hut is necessary. There banana padega. Kopin Baba. चूहा ने कोपिन को काटा. चूहा तो बिल्ली तो दूध, दूध तो गाय, गाय तो घास, घास तो right. Then he stopped wearing kopin. This is the big fun in brahmacharya life. Sometimes the very reason for which brahmacharya change, the reason only disappears. एक ब्रह्मचारी था, तो माता ने बोला बेटा बुढ़ापा हो गया, ये हो गया, ऐसा हो गया. Some girl was coming and serving his parents. वो करके सेवा करके आती रही. मदर ने कहा बेटा ये देखो सेवा भी कर रही है, बाद में भी करेगी. तो उसको भी लगा हो जाएगा शायद. तो उसने शादी किया, बाद में जॉब पकड़ के दूसरी सिटी में गया, पत्नी को साथ में ले गया, माता फिर अकेले रही. अब तक कम से कम पड़ोस में रहता था, अब बैंगलोर में रहता. So, sometimes the very purpose, the thought for which the brahmachari thinks, they will saturate the thing. वो पूरा उल्टा हो जाता है. So many examples. Huh? It's just amazing how it happens. So many things. चपाती वाला, one of those famous examples. क्या चपाती बनाने के लिए इधर आया क्या? मैं RSS में था, VHP में था, ये कर मत बनाओ चपाती. फिर असल क्या बोला, क्या कर रहे हैं? चपाती बना रहे हैं. वाइफ मेरी उसको बैक पेन है, उसको चपाती नहीं बनता है, चपाती खाना है तो चपाती बनाना अपने लिए भी उसके लिए भी. तो चपाती बनाना भाग्य में, तो चपाती बनाना पड़ेगा. किसके लिए बनाना है वो चुनाव हम कर सकते हैं. So grass hut is necessary. Caves are not. The cave is there, but tigers are there. Then he says, above all, does not Vishnu protect his devotee? The Lord is in the heart, in the heart is in the tiger. The Lord affection to devotees and the tiger protect the devotee. Well, faith change. That's a beautiful purport. This should be our goal, our meditation for people in renouncement. That Prabhupada said, renounced order of life is never meant for begging or living at the cost of others as parasite. The renounced order is meant for contributing something substantial to society and not depending on the earning of the householders. Even when we go to householder to beg something on Janmashtami or fund collection, whatever, that is a kind of kindness. There is a kind of mercy upon them to connect them and say that, I mean, we should see it that way. We should not feel that we are begging something, one reporter is asking Prabhupada, how do you all survive? Prabhupada said, Krishna maintains. He said, oh, the reporter is totally bewildered. Prabhupada said, yeah, Krishna maintains, but do you not have a donation scheme? Do you not collect donation? Prabhupada said, yeah, we go to collect donation. Krishna inspires the person from within the heart to give us donation. And that's how Krishna only maintains us. So it's a long conversation. Prabhupada was so convinced. Similarly, one devotee was traveling in train. So he went and he told Radhashambhu, one devotee was asking. He is telling Radhashambhu, when one person met me while distributing books, he said, how do you maintain? We said, we have commercial silver temples, some funds come through that. And we go for book distribution. Jivdaya gives some profit. And we have hundi where donation comes. And that is how the temple is run. And we are maintained. Radhashambhu, go to him and tell, we serve Krishna and Krishna maintains us. समझा नहीं लॉजिकली ऐसे होता है ना हुंडी में पैसा आता है गोविंदा से आता है दाऊदीदार बोले के आते हैं so said no go and tell because that's the conviction that is how a devotee should say goptapve varnam tatha Krishna is my maintainer that is the foundation of renounced order if that is not there will be shaky what if तो जो गृहस्थ लोगों ने पैसा इन्वेस्ट किया हुआ है what if the company drowns ये भी तो सोच सकता है ना क्या म्यूचुअल फंड में पैसा रख दिया तो ऐसा थोड़ी है कि गारंटी हो गया कि मिलेगा बढ़कर व्हाट इज द कंपनी ड्राउन्स बैंकरप्ट होता है ना एक कंपनी बैंकरप्ट हो गई थी बड़ी कंपनी बिग नेम इन बैंगलोर बायजूस नहीं बहुत पहले 15 साल पहले की बात सो ऑल मनी ड्राउन्ड यूटीआई यूनिट ट्रस्ट ऑफ इंडिया उसके नाम में ट्रस्ट है वो यूटीआई टूक गया मुझे आई रिमेंबर माय फादर इज इन्वेस्टेड मनी वी वर जॉइंट अकाउंट होल्डर्स एंड इट रियली वी गॉट लेस मनी आफ्टर 8 years देन व्हाट वी हैड इन्वेस्टेड फैक्चुअल एक्सपीरियंस नाम है यूनिट ट्रस्ट ऑफ इंडिया लेकिन कहाँ का ट्रस्ट रहेगा सो व्हाट इफ इज देयर एट एवरी स्टेज ऑफ लाइफ व्हाट इफ विल ऑलवेज बी देयर टिल द टाइम वी हैव फेथ इन कृष्णा इट्स नॉट अ मैटर ऑफ आश्रम इट्स नॉट अ मैटर ऑफ सिचुएशन इट्स अ मैटर ऑफ आवर डीप फेथ इन कृष्णा so at least in renounced order that is what our cultivation should be that it is meant for making substantial contribution, not that we are parasites thriving on householders. We are doing much more for householders than what householders can reciprocate. So, one time this debate came, you guys often come, so I made a whole PPT, what if there are no brahmacharis in ISKCON Pune? तो उनको प्रूव करके दिया कि आपका जितना डोनेशन से ज्यादा पैसा हम बचा के देते हैं एक पुजारी जो करना पड़ेगा 10 पुजारी तो 20,000 का मिलेगा एक पुजारी तो 2 लाख इधर लगेगा टीटी डिपार्टमेंट और श्रीकांत कृष्ण का रिप्लेस बनाएंगे तो 2 लाख रुपये महीना देना पड़ेगा बड़ा मैनेजमेंट करना कोई आसान काम थोड़ी है फेस्टिवल मैनेजमेंट करना है ये सब करना है जो कर रहे हैं कॉम मेंबर एक कॉम मेंबर के लिए एक स्टैनफोर्ड का MBA पास लगेगा आसान नहीं है ना डिवोटी को मैनेज पूछो जाके कितना सैलरी देना पड़ेगा और आपको मंदिर नहीं चलाना है घर में बैठना है तो फिर आप घर में बैठ के प्रगति हो जाए तो मंदिर क्यों बना if the temple is there facilitate everyone's going making advancement in Krishna consciousness so the temple has to be managed and you need people who can manage तो PPT बना के बार प्रेजेंट किया होता रहता है ब्रह्मचारी ग्रस्त difficult to understand each other's need in the Sanatana Dharma institution alms giving to the mendicant is a part of householder's duty and it is advised in the scripture the householder should treat the mendicant as their family children and should provide them with food, clothing, etc. The first duty of a person in the renounced order of life is to contribute some literary work, that like the Goswamis did, and then hold learned discourses among themselves at Sevakuj, Vrindavan. And for the benefit of all in human society, they have created the immense literature of transcendental importance. So like that is telling. However, those who cannot give any contribution should not go to the householders for food. For such mendicant asking bread from householders are an insult to the highest order. Renounced order is considered the highest order. Renunciation is also one kind of opulence. It is not that somebody's money is only opulent. See, money is one kind of Aishwarya. But renunciation is also another kind of Aishwarya. And that is why those of renunciation, everything follows them. Renunciation is such a thing, all other 5 people will follow them. Renunciation is the highest among the opulences. Follow or not follow, you see? So Baba is there speaking with the daddy and all that, and then who all are going? Famous people are going, rich people are going, the strong people are going, the beautiful people are going or not going? Going, na? You can see that. I don't see that, but it pops out. That, who came? I can't. Who came in the Canto? Comes, na? Why? Because there's the opulence of renunciation. Right? Prabhupada, when he went, how much dollars did he carry? How much dollars? How many dollars Prabhupada had? $0. But he had the wealth of renunciation, opulence of renunciation. Everything else followed. Prabhupada said, मैं 40 रुपए लेके गया था, अभी 40 करोड़ का संपत्ति बन गया. Prabhupada telling in one Hindi lecture. So all opulences follow the opulence of renunciation. That's why in the renounce order, we should know that we have that opulence, we have to preserve it, protect it, and be careful to not, take it cheaply. So that's why Prabhupada says that one should not go and not be an insult to the highest order. ISKCON में आने से पहले, every time you see sadhus, they will be traveling free of ticket in the middle of 2 bogies. That was my conception before I met Gaurasundar Prabhu. ऐसा भी साधु हो सकता है, पढ़ा लिखा है. Otherwise, साधु मतलब ट्रेन की 2 बोगी के बीच में बैठने का, झोली रखने का और बिना टिकट यात्रा करने का. That's somehow I never met. I mean, never went to Vrindavan. So that's also close to my home. So when a man becomes a mendicant, willfully or by circumstances, इच्छा से बन गया या प्रचार करके बना दिया, he must be of firm faith and conviction that the Supreme Lord is the maintainer of all living beings everywhere in the universe. Why then would he neglect the maintenance of a surrendered soul who is 100% engaged in the service of the Lord? माला कर रहा हूँ, सोते हुए भी कर रहा हूँ, तो क्यों मेंटेनेंस नहीं होगा? जो माला नहीं कर रहा उसका मेंटेनेंस हो रहा है. तो 4:30 बजे की जगह 9:30 बजे उठ रहा है, उसको भगवान खाने को दे रहे हैं. 4:30 बजे 4 बजे उठ के आ रहा हूँ, अटेंडेंस लगा रहा हूँ, जो भी हो दौड़ते भागते. तो जीन्स पैंट टी शर्ट पहनना उसका मेंटेनेंस हो रहा है, धोती कुर्ता वाले का तिलक वाले का क्यों नहीं होता? That firm faith should be there that if karmis are maintained, animals are maintained, insects are maintained, why the devotee will not maintain? Why should there be worry? What if? What if का कोई आंसर नहीं. What if can be applied to any person anywhere. It's a problem of mind. A common master looks to the necessities of his servant. So how much would be the all-powerful, all-opulent Supreme Lord look after the necessities of life for a fully surrendered soul? So the general standard is that he will not ask cloth, he will take it from the street. When he's hungry, he will go to the fruits and like that it does. And then it tells about the Haridas Thakur, how Haridas Thakur was living in a cave with a snake and he was ready to go, but Paramatma within the heart of the snake told the snake to go. And here it's a very, very beautiful that part, Abhayam Sattva Samsiddhya. According to regulation of Sanatana Dharma, one is trained from the beginning to depend fully on the protection of the Lord in all circumstances. The path of renunciation recommended for acceptance by one who is fully accomplished and fully purified in his existence. So then there is some path, and then he takes out the duty of a sannyasi. Sannyasi should always live alone, without company, much fearless, never be afraid of living alone. Although he's never alone, because sannyasi is with the Paramatma in the heart. When he said Nirjan, Nirjan means no human is there, no jana is there. But the Supreme Lord is there. When we say Nirjan Bhajan, na? So we can't do Nirjan Bhajan because for us, they're not in connection with the Paramatma. For the great souls, they may not have any other devotee around them, but they are with the Lord, the presence of the Lord. So, you say the Lord is residing in everyone's heart, and unless one is purified by the prescribed process, one will feel that he is alone. But a man in the renounced order of life must be purified by the process. You see, without purification, the faith will not come to that level. But what Prabhupada is saying here, man in the renounced order of life must be purified by the process. So our greatest duty is to increase our faith and come to the standard of Goptravardham. That's our duty. Because Grastas understand, हम लोग अटैच है, हम लोगों को चाहिए, हमको माता है, भगवान है, body soul है, लेकिन वो उस standard पे they can't live at that standard of detachment. But the sadhu's duty is to live by the standard of the scriptures and gradually move in that direction, progress in that direction. That's the prime duty, to set an example of living by the standard of the scripture in your lives. That is sadhu. not other thing. It is not his duty to, I mean, if he can achieve something, well and good. He can accomplish something, well and good. He will get the credit, he will get the, whatever is the due credit and gifts and announcement, he will get for that. But that is not the prime duty. The prime duty is to live with the faith that Krishna is our maintainer. Krishna is maintaining the entire universe, is maintaining me. And somebody lives by that faith, is doing great service. Believe me, for congregation, brahmacharis can never impress congregation by achievement and accomplishment. ये अपने आश्रम में थोड़ा बहुत हमको लगता है कि हमने ये किया वो किया, कुछ भी कर लो आपके प्रोग्राम में 500 लोग आ जाए, आप कलेक्शन कर लो, कॉन्ग्रेशन से फर्क नहीं पड़ता है क्योंकि वो बहुत कर चुके हैं और कर रहे हैं, कुछ भी करके हमसे ज्यादा करें, कुछ भी करके. तो ये उनके लिए इंप्रेसिव नहीं है. उनके लिए ये है कि साधु मंगल आरती में आता है, गुरु पूजा में डांस करता है, उनके लिए वो इंस्पिरेशन के लिए कुछ अचीवमेंट अकॉम्प्लिशमेंट लेना देना नहीं. हमको लगता है कि हम कॉम्पीट कर रहे हैं, रास्ता नीचे है, हम ऊपर है, उसको लग सकता है कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता. दे डोंट गेट इम्प्रेस्ड बाय दैट. They get impressed and they come to see the example of purity, dedication, commitment, service to the spiritual master, absorption in the now with the Bhakti. That is their interest, not other things. So that's our duty. That's why Prabhupada says that man in the renounced order must be purified by the process. Process purified, but that he should take that intensity because I'm already in the renounced order. अभी हो गया दीक्षा तो IDC कर लो. दीक्षा तो हो ही गया, IDC तो कर लो कम से कम पास. रमण दीक्षा हो गया, भक्ति शास्त्री कर लो. पहले हो गया, ऐसे बन गए हम, जैसे भी हो. आप कम से कम let us come to that stage of faith where we are.
On institution level, it is seen that success is normally seen by the amount of preaching one is doing. So naturally, most of the devotees are inclined for preaching. So sometimes niti seva and this internal kind of services, they will struggle for the devotees. So that success aspect comes in the devotee community. That devotee who preaches most is recognized the most. Grahastha, brahmachari, that is observed. So
when should you detach from recognition? One should detach from recognition at individual level.
Means it is a means of pleasing spiritual master. It is seen like that also.
Yeah, that's why one should hear the spiritual master, and you'll find if you hear in totality, every spiritual master, because when they establish temple, they need pujaris, no? Pujaris also are their disciples. Correct or not? Managers also are their disciples. Fund collectors also are their disciples. So they are inspiring devotees to do everything what they can do. So if one hears the totality from the spiritual master and not get carried away by the biased hearing only one part, because often in public people may inspire, like there may be seminars of book distribution and there may be things, but then there are other things also which are necessary. So if one hears in totality, I can give you a clipping of practically all the Maharajas where they talk. Bhakti Maharaj ka to ek bahut famous clipping hai. Might have all might have seen. Devotional. I have that also. So that is there. I have from Radhanath Maharaj, from Gopal Krishna Maharaj. Jai Bhadaka Maharaj ka recent hai. Isi Shravana Utsav ka. I'm not able to cut clipping all the time. Isi Shravana Utsav mein Maharaj is telling, can hear that lecture, last day ka lecture hai Shravana Utsav ka. Usme Maharaj bolte hai that actually you want to have best pujaris, you want to have good pujaris, you want to have best of the cooks for the service of the Lord. So deities, they understand that deities are persons. They want the best. Sometimes for our thing, because we see that this field is there where there is more freedom and more recognition. So we also like it. बाकी जगह पे क्या schedule है, call आ जाता है, फिर आया नहीं होगा, मैं late हो गए. The hard work is more, actually speaking. Not that preaching is not having hard work, but preaching में hard work के साथ एक certain level of independence है, certain level of recognition है, certain level of facility है. बाकी सेवा में क्या है, hard work है, और बैकअप वाला कोई बोलेगा मुझे लैपटॉप चाहिए तो बोलेगा लैपटॉप चाहिए, बैकअप थोड़ी लैपटॉप से, तो उसको हर्ट हो जाता है. प्रीचर को कोई कुछ नहीं पूछता है, सैंक्शन हो जाता है. So in our society that kind of balance is not made. That's why people feel कि इधर आएंगे तो resources भी मिलेगा, freedom भी मिलेगा, नाम भी मिलेगा, और थोड़ा space भी मिलेगा. So depending on what position we are, if we are at the level of serving, then we should do everything. And if we are Brahmana, then apart from whatever we are doing, we should do some service at all, that every guru will tell. And if we are the authority, then we should, by our example and by our inspiration, we should try to harmonize. थोड़ा कुछ बना देने, जैसे हम लोगों ने वैष्णव प्रेम मिलन बना दिया, तो एक दिन माताएं सब 300 माताएं आके थोड़ा भजन कीर्तन करके अच्छा 12 आइटम का फीस्ट, वो उनका दिन होता है, उनको रिकॉग्निशन होता है, ये गार्लेंड सेवा करते हैं, ज्वेलरी मेकिंग सेवा करते हैं, कीर्तन. So something like that should be done. अभी चौपाटी में ब्रह्मोत्सव पर उन्होंने एक वीडियो बनाया था, वैष्णव सेंधवम, वैष्णव इज लाइक ए सॉल्ट। उसमें ऐसे 10-20 वैष्णव को लिया जो कि गौरगोपालपुर टाइप फेमस नहीं है। तो ये शू स्टैंड पे 20 साल से सेवा कर रहे हैं, ये किचन में 15 साल से सेवा कर रहे हैं, ये 10 साल से गार्लेट बना रहे हैं। तो there may be ways by which they may be inspired, but we have to come to the level of faith that Krishna is watching, right? And I am most fortunate. The Pujari से Prabhupada said Pujari is most fortunate because with the Lord. आप सब preaching वगैरह करके भगवतम में जाके वही करेंगे ना, फूल तोड़ के लाएंगे, गार्डन बनाएंगे। Pujari is already doing that. It's a matter of understanding. रजोगुणा तमोगुणा, we are shaken up by surroundings. को लगता है यही कर। And we do also preaching. That's a matter of our connection with the Lord. Real compassion is when we understand Lord's feeling and we understand Lord will be happy if I preach. Lord will be happy if I preach, and if there is service required for the Lord, that also I will do. Then there is a balance. That's why I said the balance will always be by Dadami Buddhi Yogam for each individual at each individual stage. It will not remain the same. It's a dynamic balance. So we should try. If we are servant, we should see that we give our 100%. If there's a need, we are preacher. If there's a need, still we should do our Amshu Prabhu. Very consistent, high class. Nobody is in comparison with him. From the time he's got Brahman initiation, he's serving. He's serving Balaji and Vrindavan. Both he's serving. I mean, 2-3 artis interesting there, 2-3 artis there. And he's one of the most successful preachers we have. Whole GD boys, I don't know how many councils, how many yatras. Very successful person. So that is setting such a good example. Antazipur does a lot of things, waking up and all. People do that when they develop that affection for the Lord. So, if we are managers, leaders, then we should try to do. थोड़ा नदी बहती है लीडर से, लेकिन अपना भी कुछ रोल होता है, तो उसमें अपना 2-4 लोगों को तो बोल ही सकते हो हम बढ़िया कर रहे हैं, दिक्कत नहीं, ड्रेसिंग बढ़िया किया है, तो बोल ही सकते, एनकरेज तो कर ही सकते हैं ना। इंस्टीट्यूशन लेवल पे प्राइज अवार्ड तो नहीं दे सकते ना, बेस्ट ड्रेसिंग अवार्ड, बेस्ट कुकिंग अवार्ड, ऐसा नहीं होता है। वो तो जाएगा बेस्ट बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन अवार्ड ही जाएगा, किसने कितना सेट किया। so we may not be able to change at that institutional level, but individual level we should set a good example and inspire people around us. उतना करो, बाकी जो भगवान की इच्छा होता है। Prabhupada also at institutional level he did encourage temples, devotees and everyone to do more, but at individual level he did encourage many devotees whatever they were doing, cooking, cleaning, whatever they were doing. So ये struggle ISKCON में eternal struggle ये हमेशा चलता रहेगा। Individual devotees will have to understand and reconcile for them and then do what is their influence. That much we should do. We are really going too slow. I don't know why this speed will have to go for next month only. तो सैटरडे तो कंफर्म हो गया अभी एकादशी के दिन, लेकिन थोड़ा फास्ट जाना पड़ेगा। तो इज आस्किंग इज इट नेसेसरी फॉर द योगी टू सर्च आउट द इंग्रेडिएंट फॉर वर्शिपिंग द लॉर्ड? तो अभी बोला है वो भी नहीं करना है। एवं स्वचित्ते स्वत एव सिद्ध आत्मा प्रियार्थो भगवान अनंत तम निवृत्तो नियतार्थो भजेत संसार हेतु परमस्य यत्र।
This being fixed, one must render service unto the super soul situated in one's own heart by his omnipotency. Because he is the almighty personality of Godhead, eternal and unlimited. He is the ultimate goal of life. And by worshipping him, one can end the cause of the conditioned state of existence.
So the most important ingredient which one doesn't need to search anywhere is one's own desire. Bhakti is based on desire, not on any other thing. Everything else is a manifestation of that desire, whether it is patram pushpam phalam toyam or whether they are gold, diamond, pearls and rubies, as per one's capacity, not a problem. Patram pushpam phalam toyam is recommended. That doesn't mean that gold, silver, jewels and rubies are prohibited. Mara was telling in one of the initiation lecture recently. Krishna said patram pushpam phalam toyam, so sometimes grasthas will feel that doesn't mean that the gold and pearls and rubies they are forbidden. वो है तो वो दो, नहीं है तो ये दो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, जो है लेकिन प्रेम से दो. So that is it. Is it necessary for the yogi to search out ingredient? This verse answered. No, it is already accomplished because Vasudeva is already in his heart. It is not necessary to follow the procedure like Avar to follow the Lord. Priya, Artha, Bhagwan, Ananta are modifiers of Atma. Lord is naturally the shelter of Prema, that is called Priya. He has no unwanted accessories since he is the supreme object. Though he is the supreme object, he is not just in the heart, he is Bhagwan. He is observed with beauty and other qualities. He is not restricted in place, he is unappreciated in all the places. Then no effort needed in worshipping the Lord. The devotee is absorbed completely in the bliss of his worship, yet prema is the fixed goal of his bhakti. Or niyat artha, he says, another meaning is that he takes a vow, fixed number of names he chants, 16 rounds minimum. How many stories he will hear, so reading Bhagavatam, reading Krishna. How many obeisances he will offer, how much time he will meditate. By that worship, the cause of samsara, which is the ignorance, is destroyed. And which is the samsara destruction is an unsought result. The goal is prema for the devotee. And for jnanis and yogis, the destruction of ignorance itself is the Prabhupada said that because the omnipresent super soul, therefore one who is a yogi can worship only him, who is the substance and not you. A living being's constitutional position is to render service, but in the atmosphere of Maya, the conditioned souls seek the service of illusion. As you discussed many times before, the world is like an illusion, like a mirage in the desert, and we are running after water in the desert. One should therefore search for water in the vicinity of sea and ocean and not in the desert. So same thing, each of us is looking for a life of Satchit and Anand, but looking into the wrong place with the wrong means. So it says, here he gives a very beautiful analogy. The baby in the lap of his mother naturally attached to the mother and the mother attached to the child. But when the child grows up and becomes overwhelmed by circumstances, he gradually becomes detached from the mother, although the mother always expects some sort of service from the grown-up child and is equally affectionate towards her child, even though the child is forgetful. So that analogy is given that the conditioned souls, because of the influence of material energy, forget the Supreme Lord. Although serving the Supreme Lord is his natural duty. Similarly, because we are all part and parcel of the Lord is always affectionate to us. He never forget his relationship. Like the mother never forgets the child, but the child becomes busy playing and he forgets the mother. We must therefore extricate ourselves from all illusory connection of the world and seek reunion with the Lord, trying to render service unto him because he is the ultimate truth. Actually, we are hankering after him as the child seeks the mother. And to search out, we have to just turn to our own heart. Prabhupada says that a child keeps on crying till the baby goes in the lap of the mother. He goes on the lap of the mother, he becomes peaceful. Similarly, our wants, our needs will never get satisfied unless we get back into the lap of the Supreme Lord. And then he talks about the function of temples. That this does not mean the Lord is in the heart, that one should not go to the place of worship, namely the temple, church, and mosque. These places are also occupied by the Lord because the Lord is omnipresent. Prabhupada used to say, Arya Samaj say कि भगवान सब जगह है. तो भगवान सब जगह है, मंदिर छोड़ के. सब जगह तो मंदिर में भी है ना, तो मंदिर में जाने में क्या प्रॉब्लम? सब जगह है तो मंदिर में भी है, मूर्ति में भी है, क्या प्रॉब्लम? लेकिन बोले सब जगह है लेकिन मंदिर में मूर्ति में नहीं. That is their foolishness. For the common man, these holy places are centers of learning about the science of God. That's why we say temple is a education institution. देखे वो 3 पॉइंट लगा. टेम्पल हम देखे नहीं? जब करते करते कि पढ़ा होगा. Why do we go to temple? टीवी के ओह ऐसा क्या? टीवी को चालू करो. टीवी के अंदर ही बैठाते हैं उसको. बोला है बलवंत प्रभु ने. टीवी बेचारा मुंह बंद करके पड़ा रहता है. लोग इतना स्क्रीन टाइम है लोगों का. हमारे पास स्क्रीन है. लोगों का आदत है स्क्रीन टाइम का. स्क्रीन देखा तो अट्रैक्ट होते हैं. बोला है अभी कुछ कर रहे हैं. 1 साल हो गया टीवी बाय. पोस्टर के लिए लोग इतना पीछे भागते हैं. वाटर कूलर पे लगाते हैं, वहां लगाते हैं. कोई देखता नहीं. टीवी इतना बड़ा है, उसका कोई यूज नहीं करता. We'll start doing something. So for the common man, these holy places are centers of learning. When the temples are devoid of activities, the people in general become uninterested in such places, and subsequently the mass of people gradually become godless. And a godless civilization is a result. That's why the temple should not be devoid of activities, it should be buzzing with activities. Should be, and वो इसको में होता है. सुबह से शाम तक कुछ न कुछ चलता रहता है. But if you go traditional temple, घंटी बजाया, सुबह नहलाया, बाद में लॉक लगाया, हो गया. अब दिन भर लोग आएंगे, ग्लास से देखेंगे और चले जाएंगे. Many temples are like. So then there is godlessness permeates in such places. So solution to all problems. If we wanted all to end this anomaly of a godless civilization, we must follow the principle of revealed scripture like Srimad Bhagavatam and follow the instruction of a person like Sukadeva Goswami with no attraction for material gain. Read the translation.
Who else but the gross materialists will neglect the transcendental law and take to the non-colonial male only, seeing the mass of people falling in the river of suffering as the consequence of acquiring the result of their own prosperity.
Who accept people indulging in material life would disregard bhakti by seeing people. Main thing is that one has to observe one's own life and observe people around and get convinced that actually without bhakti there's nothing but suffering only. In bhakti also, even if there's some tapasya, Vaishnav gives an example that tapasya, the suffering is like a pinching of a needle. But one is the needle of a syringe and one is the needle of, seeing that swing needle. Silne wala. So if that needle goes or thorn goes, then it has no good effect. If the syringe needle goes, still there is some pain experience, but the medicine is passing through that. So even in the path of bhakti, if there is some, apparent trouble, experience, inconvenience in experience, that has a medicinal effect. On the other hand, suffering is for everyone. Sometimes devotee say, अच्छे लोगों के साथ बुरा क्यों हुआ या भक्त बनने के बाद हमारे साथ ऐसा क्यों हुआ. जब जो लोग भक्त नहीं बनते उनके साथ क्या होता है? सबके साथ होता है ना. भक्त बनने के बाद आपको ये पता है कि उसको डील कैसे करना. You at least know how to deal with it. Otherwise, it's happening with everyone. Same thing would have happened if we would not have practiced devotional service. But Prabhupada clearly written, after becoming devotee, Krishna gives only a token. Now, we don't know how much was the total, so we don't know how much is token. पता नहीं ना भाई 0.1% भी दिया लेकिन आपका लोन है 1 करोड़ का तो 0.1% भी 1 लाख हो गया ना. 0.1% मतलब बहुत कम कर दिया लेकिन किया क्या जाए. अब अपना प्रारब्ध इतना है या कर्मा इतना है तो भगवान ने टोकन दिया लेकिन किसका टोकन दिया ये पता नहीं ना. But that is where faith is required in the words of the Acharya. That Prabhupada is saying that, then whatever we are receiving is only a token of what we are supposed to receive. And it's true also. Actually, you see life around. It's really, people are just really burning the fire of mental anguish. Mentally इतना disturbed है. कोई किसी को शांति नहीं कहीं भी किसी लेवल पे. छोटा हो बड़ा हो अमीर हो गरीब हो पढ़ा लिखा हो अनपढ़ हो पुरुष हो स्त्री हो मैरिड हो अनमैरिड हो डाइवर्सी हो जो हो. It's like all, you can actually, little more of goodness if you see people around and talk to some degree, you can actually feel and experience there is a fire of, material suffering. संसार दावन का थोड़ा अनुमान लगा सकते हैं. पूरा रियलाइजेशन तो नहीं आएगा, इतना एडवांसमेंट नहीं है. अनुमान तो लगा सकते हैं. क्या होता है? थोड़ा लोगों से बात कर, किसी से पूछो थोड़ा बोलेगा आई एम फाइन हो, फिर थोड़ा बात करो तो बोलेगा नहीं पूछो ये प्रॉब्लम वो प्रॉब्लम यहाँ ये पूरा घर में हर शरीर में हर रिश्ते में प्रॉब्लम ही प्रॉब्लम. तो बात बोलने की कितना बोले. लेकिन डिवोटी होके क्या है कि ना मेजर टाइम तो हैप्पी गो लकी है. थोड़ा बहुत कभी कभी आ जाता है. ज्यादा नहीं. रियली brahmachari life and devotee life. I mean, devotee life is wonderful, but in that brahmachari life, that was a brahmachari life in Pune, very luxurious. नहीं है तो जाके आओ, घूम आओ. Really luxurious. So one has to develop that vision to see that, not for criticizing others, but for becoming grateful for our own good fortune. We are not there to say that they are whatever they are, but we feel that we are saved, and then it's our duty to assist in the mission of saving others. And that's the right cause and the right understanding, right foundation for preaching. And then it's not that only during bus party we distribute books. It's not that only during marathon we distribute books. We carry books, prasad, everything all the time. And whenever there's a need, we give it. It's not my duty to distribute it. No. We are instrument of compassion in the hands of the Lord. So every time our mood should be, how can I at least create sukriti for others? I can deliver them, definitely. Sukriti creation is something we can do, and one should always be focused. कुछ रखो, प्रसाद रखो. एक बार एक मुस्लिम द्वारा बताया, उसको नरसिम्हा ऑयल दिया. ट्रेन में जा रहा था बॉम्बे. अब तो क्या बॉम्बे जाना सब गाड़ी में होता है. काफी पब्लिक से कट गए हम लोग. और जब टाइम मिलता भी है तो अपना ही, कल भी पूरा 4 घंटा मेरा केवल फोन में गया. 4 hours कंटिन्यूअस फोन. मधुसूदन को बोले प्रभु जी आपका शायद काउंसलिंग का पैच वर्क चल रहा है. So many calls. So we we have become busy, but early days we used to go to Bombay on Saturday, Sunday. Prasad, folks, something you take and give something to everyone so that everyone feels happy. Any connection with devotee increase their sukriti in much more amount than what they will gain by coming to temple, offering obeisances, anything related to even deity, holy rivers or other things. Because devotee का impact बहुत होता है ना, याद रखता है वो. Devotee का जो interaction है उसको याद रखता है. बाकी इतना याद नहीं रखता. So Prabhupada first criticizes the people who are attached to the demigod, to the exclusion of the Supreme Personality Godhead. These people are like animals who do not know how they are being misdirected by neglecting the transcendental thought of the Supreme Person. And then he says that no one can remain vacant of thought. Ideal brain is devil's workshop, because the person who cannot think in the right way must think of something which will bring about disaster. So demigod worship is condemned. And then enlightened transcendentalist is not captivated by such illusory thing. He is always absorbed in the transcendental thought of the Supreme in different stage of realization. Then one should think of Paramatma. So then it's 84,000 species and Vaicharani river. And then it talks about the jail. No one is happy in this material world, and all of them are either A, B, or C prisoners suffering because of their own deeds. Lord is impartial to the suffering of the living entity, but to one who takes shelter, the Lord gives proper protection. He takes such a living entity back to God. So then now he will talk about meditating on the Paramatma. So Virat Rup is done. Now he will focus on meditating on the Paramatma. But it will highlight me.
The others conceive of the personality of God residing within the body in the region of heart and measuring only 8 inches, with 4 hands carrying a lotus, a wheel of a chariot, a conch shell, and a plus respective.
Shankha, Chakra, Gadapati. So then the yogis meditate on the Paramatma, that is the purified yogi, who is not having material desire. So having shown Bhakti and the absence of Bhakti, Sukadeva now speaks again about the process of dharana of the accomplished yogi in the form of Paramatma, which is superior to the universal form. तो बीच बीच में ना आवेश आता सुखदेव गोस्वामी, यार नालायक लोग हैं, भक्ति करो. फिर बोले वो अटैच योगी वो कर रहा था विराट रूप पे, अभी फिर से आ गए वापस. बोले जो अनअटैच योगी है, रियलाइज योगी है, वो क्या करेगा? परमात्मा में ध्यान करेगा. तो वापस परमात्मा में आ. So there are 4 types of yogi he defines. The first type meditate on prana and the mind without using the form of the Lord. This is not approved by Bhagavatam. This is prana and mind. It doesn't focus on the form. A second type become purified by meditating on the universal form, that is Virat Rupa. Then meditate on the 4-round form of Paramatma. So that is described. The third one, after meditating on the universal form, meditate on the Vivasti Virat, the Lord in the heart with 4 arms. Virat Rupa se shuru karta hai, Paramatma mein aa jata hai. And the fourth type is pure in heart already. तो चौथे वाले डायरेक्ट परमात्मा हो जाता है. विराट रूप वाले जो सेक्शन है उसको बाईपास कर देता है. Because the meditation on Virat Rup is for purifying the mind and senses and intelligence. That will be true. So some says that Keches refer to those who from the beginning being pure in heart meditate on the Vivasti Virat. And Pradesh Matra means he has one Pradesh, one hand. So he is of that size. By his inconceivable energy, he is the form of a man, 15 years old, for it is said, Santam Devasi Kaishora. So the size is this, but form is like a 15-year-old useful boy. So that is the description of the Paramatma. Prabhupada goes in the same way, and he says that there are many other forms of the Lord with varied situations, the symbol of lotus consciousness. So 24 out there. 4, 3, 2, 1. Combination. याद है ना? 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. कितना हुआ? Permutation या combination? क्या बनेगा? Permutation. 4, 3, 2, 1. Combination अलग होता है. Number lock का combination होता है. इसका permutation नहीं होगा. ये 4 ही चीजें. हर एक हाथ में कुछ ना कुछ रखते. 24 form. Prabhupada gives the name of those forms. These 24 forms, the localized personality of God, are worshipped in different parts of the planetary system And in each system, there is an incarnation of the Lord having a different Vaikuntha planet in the spiritual sky. The Lord exists as Purusha and all that. So now, in 3 verses, he will describe the beauty of the Lord, after which we will take a break. So let's take a happy break after the description. Recite together. Prasanna Bhaktram Nalinaya Kadam Nakinjal Vishamjabhasasam Lasan Maharatna Suran Maharatna Kirita Kundalam.
His mouth expressing his happiness, his eyes spread like the petals of a lotus, and his garments yellowish like the saffron of a Kadamba grass, are bedecked with valuable jewels. His ornaments are all made of gold, set with jewels, and he wears a glowing head dress, hat, and earrings.
The description of the Paramatma form of the Lord. Further, there will be description of how to meditate on these features. Next. Onitrahit pankaj karnikalaye yogeshwara sthapita pada pallavam Shri Lakshanam kaustuvaratna kandaram Ama Lakshanam Malyachitam.
His lotus feet are placed over the holes of the lotus-like hearts of great mystics. On his chest is the Kaustuva jewel engraved with a beautiful carp, and there are other jewels on his shoulders. His complete torso is garlanded with fresh flowers.
A lot of flowers, costume jewel, that's how it described. His feet is placed by the yogis in the center of the blossoming lotus in their heart. One must thus meditate upon his devotees, the great yogis. Mark of Lakshmi, the golden line on the left chest of the Lord. And costume hangs from his neck by a gold string. Prabhupada said that all these flower clothing, everything is identical with the Lord. None of them are material ingredient. So they are all personalities, right? Kostu, jewel, the bell, that Vedanta Deshikam is considered an incarnation of the bell of the Lord. So Vedanta Deshikam. Bell of the Lord. Bell. Vedanta Deshikam. Sri Vaishnavacharya, who has written a lot of commentaries. Once I saw a drama, that Ahovilam Mat Mandir. Beautiful drama. A lot of pastimes. I mean, because not our Sampradaya, we don't read so much about it. But it's considered an incarnation. And there are other acharyas also who are considered incarnation of the Sankha Chakra, Gada of the Lord. Because Gada is Kaumudi. Name is there, na, for everyone. Vaibhav is Saranga Vaibhav. So they are all personalities who have taken that Sachidanand form only for the sake of serving the Supreme Lord. Because Lord is Sachidanand, nothing else can be matter there. There's no matter there. There's only people over there. How difficult to conceive. But that's for the fact. Okay, last verse in glorification. Description. Vibhusitam me khadayantulenke mahadane pur kankana devi istinkamana chitanila kuntale virochamana sapeshana.
Is very decorated with an ornamental bed about his waist and rings studded with valuable jewels on his fingers. His leglets, his bangles, his oiled hair curling with a bluish tint, and his beautiful smiling face are all very pleasing.
This is how Sukadeva Goswami describing Paramatma from within the heart. And then person of God is the most beautiful person amongst all others. And Sukadeva Goswami describes every part of the transcendental beauty one after another in order to teach the impersonal that the personality of God is not an imagination by the devotee for facility of worship, but is the supreme person in fact and figure. Let's read this verse also. Adina Leela Hasitekshanallasa Brubhanga Samsuchita Bhuri Anugraham Iksheta Chintamayamena Mishwaram Yavam Marodhar Vasishtade.
The Lord's magnanimous pastimes, glowing, glancing of his smiling face are all indications of his extensive benedictions. One must therefore concentrate on this transcendental form of the Lord as long as the mind can be fixed on him by meditation.
Form of the Lord is the object of meditation, not other. Then he quotes that, 12.5. Kleshva Tesham Abhyakta Asakta Chetas. Devotee has an advantage over impersonal philosopher because he can meditate on the transcendental form of the Lord. See, when one is nivritta, as previously stated, that means liberated from the material condition. When one is freed from all material necessities, one becomes qualified to discharge the process of bhakti yoga. True bhakti yoga at time, places, proper right is Brahma Bhuta, Prasannatma, na sochati, na kankshati, samah sarveshu bhuteshu, mad bhakti. Prabhupada says this is the stage of beginning of bhakti. I'm like, इधर है ब्रह्म भूत कौन से भूत है पता नहीं प्रसन्नात्मा कभी प्रसन्न है कभी अप्रसन्न है ब्रह्मभूत प्रसन्नात्मा न सोचती न कांक्षती अपना तो चलता रहता है ऐसा हो गया वैसा हो गया ऐसा कर दिया वैसा कर दिया मतलब वी आर नॉट एट दैट लेवल दिस अ परफेक्शन फॉर ज्ञानीज एट दैट लेवल बहुनाम जन्मनामंत ज्ञानवान माम प्रपद्यते दैट लेवल that is the goal of yogi jnanis then that level what happens brahmabhuta prasannatma na sochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim lavate param then they get mad bhakti. We have not yet come to that level and still we have got devotion service. So that's why we are saying repeatedly that one has to do the homework now. Homework लगेगा क्लास खत्म हो गया लेकिन homework बाकी है homework करना पड़ेगा and not yet nivritta from this. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga include Jnana Yoga, or in other words, the process of devotion service simultaneously serve the purpose of Jnana Yoga. Liberation from material condition automatically achieved by the gradual development of pure devotion service. These effects are called Anartha Nivritti. The first processual step must show its effect by Anartha Nivritti. That means the meditation on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord should be leading to Anartha Nivritti. Iska break. They're saying hard disk is full. Okay, let's take a break for 12 minutes. Anyway, just I'll complete this because it's important. The grossest type of anartha which binds the conditioned soul is the sex desire. I was telling yesterday that is the grossest type of anartha. And this desire gradually develops in the union of male and female. And then Pumsa Striyan Mithini Bhavametam. Then further building children, friend, relative, and wealth. And then Janasya Moho, Yo Aham Mameti. That was sense of myself and mine become prominent. And then it expand to various social, political, social, altruistic, and all things, resembling the form of the sea waves, which become very prominent at one time, next moment it is quickly gone. The conditioned soul is encircled by such product as well as the product of sex desire. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga leads to gradual evaporation of the sex desire, which is summarized in three headings, namely profit, adoration, and distinction. All conditioned souls are mad after these different forms of sex desire, and one shall see for himself how much he has been freed from such material hankering based primarily on sex desire. And then he gives an example how a person, when he's hungry and he eats food stuff, his hunger gets satisfied. Similarly, the sex desire is diminished along with its various forms by the process of Bhakti Yoga, because Bhakti Yoga automatically, by the grace of the Lord, effectively resulted in Jnana and Vairagya, even if the devotee is materially not very well educated. Knowledge means knowing things as they are, and if by deliberation it is found that there are things which are at all necessary, naturally the person who has acquired knowledge leaves behind such unwanted things. And then when these things are left out, they cause detachment. So we have previously discussed that the transcendental is required to be self-sufficient and should not beg from the rich blind person to fulfill the bare necessities of life. Sukadeva Goswami has suggested some alternative for the bare necessities of life, namely the problem of eating, sleeping, and shelter. क्या बोले eating के लिए? मतलब पेड़ पे फल नहीं लगते क्या? फल लगते हैं, उसके बाद खाने के लिए प्लेट चाहिए, बोले खाने के लिए हाथ नहीं है क्या? तो वो खाने का स्लीपिंग के लिए बोले जगह चाहिए, केव्स नहीं है क्या, जमीन नहीं है क्या उसके अंदर, बोले पिलो तो चाहिए ना कम से कम, नींद नहीं आता गर्दन में चढ़ा जाता, बोला हाथ है ना मेमोरी पिलर नहीं है, पिलो नहीं है तो सो एंड शेल्टर केव्स, राइट. सबके लिए बोल दिया, बेड नहीं चाहिए, जमीन पे लेट जाओ, तकिया नहीं चाहिए, हाथ लगा लो, खाने के लिए फल ले लो, प्लेट नहीं है तो पाउंस में खा लो, पानी के लिए, पीने के लिए नदी का पानी पी लो, लेकिन but you're not suggested any alternative for sex satisfaction. One who has a sex desire still within him should not at all try to accept the renounced order of life. For one who has not attained to this stage, there is no question of a renounced order of life. So, by the gradual process of devotion service under the guidance of a proper spiritual master and following the principles of Bhagavatam, one must be able to control the gross sex desire before one accepts the renounced order of life factually. That is very, I mean, what meditating is statement. For factually accept the renounced order, one has to be able to control the gross sex desire. That means at least our senses are not getting distracted. Mind जा रहा है, लेकिन senses के लेवल पे control है कम से कम. Mind का तो छोड़ दो, mind तो क्या करेगा? Mind तो बाहर से नहीं जाएगा तो भी अंदर बैठा है ना. Mind का क्या, बाहर से कंट्रोल किया तो भी अंदर से प्रॉब्लम है ना, अंदर का पुराना वासना, इस लाइफ का, पुरानी लाइफ का. He was telling yesterday, I think, Gudakesh was telling or Bhakti Maharaj was telling that actually जो habit इस लाइफ का है वो इजीली कन्वर्ट हो जाता है. ईटिंग, स्लीपिंग, डिफेंडिंग का इसी लाइफ का है ना. साउथ इंडियन ने डोसा खाया तो डोसा अच्छा लगने लगा उसको, नॉर्थ इंडियन ने पराठा खाया तो पराठा अच्छा नहीं लगने लगा, लेकिन दोनों एक ऐसे फास्ट कर सकते हैं, प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. डिजायर इसी लाइफ का है. और इसको में आके सबको राइस दाल सब्जी चपाती चाहिए. नॉर्थ इंडियन, साउथ इंडियन भी चपाती खाते हैं, गर्म चपाती होती. तो पॉइंट क्या है कि वो सब डिजायर इजी है, ईटिंग, स्लीपिंग, डिफेंडिंग का. लेकिन मेटिंग का क्या है कि इस लाइफ टाइम में ब्रह्मचारी बन गए, लेकिन आई थिंक गुड़ाकेश पोज क्वेश्चन है ना. ब्रह्मचारी क्लास, बट प्रीवियस लाइफ का चल रहा है ना कोटा, उसका क्या करेंगे? अभी बाहर से कुछ नहीं है तो भी अंदर से चल रहा है. दैट इज व्हाई सेक्स लाइफ और सेक्स डिजायर कंट्रोल इज सो वेरी डिफिकल्ट बिकॉज इट्स कमिंग फ्रॉम प्रीवियस लाइफ. तो बाकी तो ईटिंग, स्लीपिंग वो हो जाता है, लेकिन सेक्स लाइफ का सेम डिजायर बना रहता है. क्वालिटी ऑफ फूड में डिफरेंस है, कुत्ता कुछ खाएगा, बिल्ली कुछ खाएगा, लेकिन जब जो पैशन ऑफ सेक्स लाइफ है, दैट इज नो डिफरेंस. That is why in the human society also there's prostitution and rape and all such things. So there's no distinction between the sex desire of man and human. Also there is distinction between their eating and sleeping. Same quality. And it is going on in every lifetime because it's for everyone. कुछ भी हो, खाने का अलग अलग रहेगा, बट एंट से लेकर के एलिफेंट तक और इंद्रगोप से लेकर के इंद्र तक सबके मन में सेक्स डिजायर. That is why controlling sex desire is so very difficult, but one must be at least be able to control the gross sex desire. सेंसेस इंडल्ज नहीं होने चाहिए. माइंड का जो है देखा जाएगा, धीरे धीरे माइंड प्यूरिफाई होगा, लेकिन ग्रॉस सेक्स डिजायर है, देन वन शुड नॉट एक्सेप्ट द renounced order. इसीलिए राइशम में रूल बनाया, somebody succumbs to touch a woman or to do anything with a woman, then he should leave the ashram. And many other places people think नहीं नहीं इसमें क्या बड़ी चीज है, कल युग है, then they take, and such brahmachari they cause much more trouble later because that's not good for them, not good for the institution. इंडिविजुअली भी अच्छा नहीं है और कलेक्टिवली भी अच्छा नहीं. बाद में बड़े बड़े ब्लंडर करते हैं, क्योंकि अगर उतना लेवल का वीड बढ़ गया है तो अभी उस वेट को शेप देना पड़ेगा. उस वेट को काटने से कुछ नहीं होगा, वो जड़ आ गया उसके अंदर. बट somehow or other, if mentally people are agitated but grossly they have not done anything they can control, then such people in the due course of time through the process may get purified. Right. That's very important. Purification means getting free gradually from sex desire, and this is attained by meditating on the person of the Lord as described herein, beginning from the feet. One should not go to upward artificially without seeing of himself how much he has released from the sex desire. Smiling face of the Lord is the 10th canto. Many people jump there directly within the 5 chapters which designate the Ras Leela. This is certainly improper. By such improper study or hearing of Bhagavatam, the material opportunists have played havoc by indulging in sex life in the name of Bhagavatam. This vilification of Bhagavatam is rendered by the act of so-called devotees. One should be free from all kind of sex desire before he tries to make a show of recital of Bhagavatam. Sri Vishwanath Thakur clearly defined the import of purification as cessation from sex indulgence. Purification means freedom from sex. Yatha yatha dishya suddyanti vishaya lambhattam tejati. Tatha tatha dharayat iti chitta suddhi taratmeneva dhyan taratam bhaktam. So, as one gets free from the intoxication of sex indulgence, one should step forward for next meditation. Or in other words, the process of meditation on the different levels of the transcendental body of the Lord should be enhanced in proportion to the progress of purification of the heart. The conclusion is that those who are still entrapped by sex indulgence should never progress to meditation above the feet of the Lord. Therefore, Recital of Srimad Bhagavatam by them should be restricted to the first and second canto of the great literature. One must complete the purificatory process by assimilating the content of the first 9 cantos. Then one should be admitted to the realm of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So now how to do that meditation we described. We will meet after the break, 10 minutes. But it's a very important message because many times you want ras tattva. Many people ask in ISKCON outside, ISKCON mein ras nahi hai, tumhara adhikar hai kya? Adhikar is the important thing. Till the time one is not free from sex desire, that so-called rasa, even the true rasa, will not look palatable. Pitto patapta rasanasya narochikam. It's sugarcane juice, but it will appear kadwa to that person because the disease is not it. Disease cure karne ke liye one should read the first canto, second canto, render service, do sadhana. And then as gradually the heart becomes purified, one becomes free from sex desire, gross and subtle, then one can relish the higher thing. But Prabhupada is so merciful that he gave Krishna book still for all. Because he gave it in a medicinal way. वो कृष्ण को पढ़ के 5 रस पाचन पढ़ेंगे तो भी आदमी हेजिटेट नहीं होगा because Prabhupada purports are there that community. There also we talk gopis are not in their material bodies, they are in the spiritual bodies, and this is their relationship should not be compared to a relationship between an ordinary man and woman. So like that, the instructions are there which work like medicine. So one can read Krishna book, but if one get agitated, one need not to read the 10th canto and the intimate verses. Okay, let's take a break. 12:45 we'll meet again and continue. वो वीडियो कैसे चल रहे हैं आप प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हैं उससे लेके वीडियो बंद रखो So you're transferring sound from that box or this box? Sound?
There are okay audio आपका इधर से कोई बोलेगा तो आपका हो जाएगा
अच्छा ये कनेक्टेड नहीं है उसको आप करेंगे तो ये कनेक्टेड आपने लगाया है
ये तो ये वीडियो का
नहीं वीडियो का ये वीडियो का है वो ऑडियो का है ऑडियो का है वो ठीक है if they are able to hear no problem okay so we'll continue now अभी हम लोग ये चैप्टर कंप्लीट करके रुकेंगे अभी नहीं तो फिर कुछ नहीं होगा अगले बार कुछ फोन हो जाएगा टुडे टू कंप्लीट एटलीस्ट दिस चैप्टर tomorrow maybe next 2 chapters so now the process of meditation on the Paramatma is being described here in the next few verses please read
The process of meditation should begin from the lotus feet of the Lord and progress to his smiling face. The meditation should be concentrated upon the lotus feet, then the calves, then the thighs, and in this way higher and higher. More the mind becomes fixed upon the different part of the limbs, one after another, the more the intelligence becomes purified.
So the process of meditation is being described here. Meditation should begin from the lotus feet of the Lord and progress to the smiling face. Prabhupada already wrote in the last purport that one should not jump up to the higher features for meditation unless one has become fixed up in the meditation of the lotus feet. One should meditate to the degree that the intelligence becomes purified and gives up lust for material enjoyment, material object. According to the purity of consciousness, one will have effective meditation. One with very contaminated consciousness cannot perform this meditation. He should meditate on the universal form. बहुत लोग बोलते हैं even sometimes Brahmachari and all हम लोग राधा रानी को देखते हैं तो they are not able to adjust at times because the mind is very contaminated. The mind, we are not able to see her as a mother of the universe. Rather, we see her in another form. Even pujaris also. Many times pujaris take their own time to worship Radha Krishna deities, even if they are Brahmana initiated. I myself, I got initiated in 11, and only in 2013, after 2 years, I started worshiping Radha Krishna. After 2 years only got into worship. So we may take our own time, and that also then after 13, till like I started dressing the bigger deities in 2018 only, after 5 years. So we may take our own time because the mind is contaminated. You can't just adjust intellectually. It will create problem. So one should meditate as per one's adhikar. And purpose is the process of meditation not to fix the attention on something impersonal or void. Either it is Virat Rupa or it is the Sachidanand form and described in the scripture. Virat Rupa is not the Sachidanand form, it's a material form. Deity form is Sachidanand form, Vigraha form. It's different. Huh? Deity form is Sachidanand Vigraha form. The Virat Rupa is the material form of the spiritual Lord, because that is the level of those people who are focusing, meditating on that. So these are authorized Vishnu form. One can practice meditating upon the deity, concentrating his mind on the lotus feet and gradually rising higher and higher. And then again he says, according to Bhagavad school, the Lord Rasa dancing is a smiling face. So since it is recommended in this verse, one should gradually progress from the lotus feet to the smiling face, not jump at once to understand the Lord pastime in the Rasa dance. It is better to practice concentrating our attention by offering flowers and tulsi to the lotus feet of the Lord. In this way, we gradually become purified by the archan process. We dress him, we bathe him. All these transcendental activities help us purify our existence. When we reach the higher standard of purification, then we can see the smiling face of the Lord or hear the Rasadam cast. So then he says, what is the meaning of the more intelligence become purified by concentrating on the form of the Lord? It means that more one become detached from sense gratification. That is the meaning of purified intelligence. Purified intelligence means detached from sense gratification. The intelligence does not make plans for sense gratification. Our intelligence in the present condition is impure due to engage in sense gratification. Result of meditation will be manifested by one's detachment from sense gratification. Therefore, the ultimate purpose of meditation is purification of one's intelligence. That means detachment from sense gratification. So in that verse, Vishaya Vinivartante, Niraharasya Dehina, Rasavarjam Rasapasya Param Drishtva Nivartate. So there, Srila Vishwanath Thakur and other Acharya write, Param Drishtva means actually seeing the beautiful form of the Lord. Param Drishtva, by seeing the beauty of the form of the Lord, one get higher taste. One become detached from lower taste. What is lower taste? Sex desire. Sex desire means attraction to women. So by meditating on the beautiful form of the Lord, one can overcome the attraction towards the beautiful form of the woman. Because ultimately that is where the material energy is focused in creating the form of the woman. So that's where for brahmacharya is very important, because we don't have families and all that. So one should meditate on the form of the Lord and feel connected to the Lord. One should feel oneself as a family member of the Lord. Right? One can come and cry and discuss, say whatever one may not be able to say to anyone else. But one should feel connected. One should not be like grastas or visitors. आगे सुबह आए मंगल आरती के बाद क्लास के बाद वो गए हम भी गए. Sometimes grastas come in the evening to take darshan. And brahmachari हो गया सुबह हो गया ना. At least one more time one should try. Or we keep photos on our laptop and all. One's mind should be connected to the Lord. And one should do some service on the festival, either cooking, cleaning, something. Because हम तो घर वाले हैं ना, बाहर वाले लोगों का हम अलॉट करते हैं. ब्रह्मचर्य को तो पूरा हमने छोड़ दिया. वैसे वो ब्रह्मचर्य का कोई रोल ही नहीं. पूरा डीटी का सेवा, पूरा किचन का सेवा सब गृहस्थ लोग करते हैं. पहले ट्रांसफरिंग करते थे ब्रह्मचर्य लोग फेस्टिवल को. प्रॉब्लम होता था, टाइम पे नहीं आते थे. हो गया. अभी आप देखो किचन में गए बुलाए किसी को. कुछ लोग कुकिंग के लिए जाते हुए कहते हैं दैट हार्ड एंड दे नो. बट बाकी आप देखो एवरेज में ब्रह्मचर्य का कोई शेड्यूल नहीं लगता. केवल थोड़ा बैकअप का लोड बढ़ता है, बाकी कोई ब्रह्मचर्य का लोड नहीं. तो वन शुड टेक इट दैट बाबा खुद जाके कुछ करना चाहिए. कुछ भोगा बनाना चाहिए, नहीं तो कुछ डेकोरेशन करना चाहिए, नहीं तो कुछ रीडिंग करना चाहिए, कुछ कीर्तन करना चाहिए, कुछ करना चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं शेड्यूल में नहीं किया तो हम फ्री हो गए. फ्री होके मतलब क्या है? If we are not engaged in Krishna's service, the Maya is engaging us in her service. So one should feel कि schedule as a blessing. Schedule मतलब ऐसा समझना चाहिए कि प्रोटेक्शन ऑर्डर आ गया, अपना आर्मर आ गया, इसके अंदर माया भेज नहीं सकती. So schedule and services and engagement should be seen as protection, not as burden or मुझे जब करना था ये क्यों आ गया, ऐसा नहीं सोचना. So for brahmacharya, it's very, very important to meditate on the person form of the Lord. And one is not able to connect more, meditate on the lotus feet and read some songs like, what is that song? Ekona Bhujinu Prabhu Tumara Charan. Glories of the lotus feet is described. Na? Ye pada lagi ya Rama, tapasya karila. Ye pada lagi ya Shiva, Shivatto labi. Ye pada lagi ya Brahma, Kritartha hoila. Ye pada lagi ya Narad, ye pada Narad Hridaya dhoila. So one can meditate on lotus feet. There are many, many songs just describing manifestation lotus feet. One can read about the symbols on the lotus feet of the Lord. क्या क्या है? अरे हमने इतना फिजिक्स केमिस्ट्री ना कुछ याद किया है. तो 10-20 सिम्टम याद कर लेंगे कोई बड़ा चीज नहीं है. बेंजीन का स्ट्रक्चर याद किया है, हाइड्रोक्लोरिक ये इसमें मिलेगा तो क्या बनेगा, वो सब 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 कुछ एकदम किया है. आयोडा का पूरा एनालिसिस किया है. आयोडा आई अंडर रूट ऑफ -1 आज तक समझा नहीं है कैसे हो सकता है. अंडर रूट ऑफ -1 कुछ उसका फिलोसॉफिकल सेंस नहीं है. वो आई स्क्वायर इज -1 बस. तो ये सारी चीजें just imaginary things which are just adjusted to understand the dynamics of things happening, but the real thing is things happen because Krishna has empowered them to do that thing. वो जो इलेक्ट्रॉन घूम रहा है न्यूक्लियस के आसपास, वो इसलिए नहीं घूम रहा है क्योंकि साइंटिस्ट लोगों ने उसको धक्का मारा है. इसके लिए नहीं घूम रहा है वो भगवान ने उसको बोला अंडान तरस से परमाणु चंद्र घूमेगा वो, तब तक इसको बोला परमात्मा कंट्रोल. So it's very important. You remember the signs on the lotus feet of the Lord. Sign of a flag is there, sign of gourd is there, chariot is there, right? Huh? What is it? Fish is there. So one should meditate. That's how one should meditate. One may not be able to see the face and meditate because mind is not purified. So focus. So many songs are there meditating on the feet of Nityanand Prabhu, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandu. Nitayra Charana Satya Tahara Sevaka Nitya. Like that, there are songs. So that one should meditate. This meditation is very purifying and it quickly brings one closer to the Lord. And quickly brings the true knowledge in the heart. What is true knowledge? I am a servant of the Lord. That's the essence of knowledge. And true detachment. That I don't need anything else other than my desire to serve the Lord. That's all. So this knowledge becomes convictions by meditating. So one should take out time on a daily basis, weekly basis to spend some time just with the deity for the Lord. It's a blessing. Now, what is this temple all about? It's all about deity. क्या मंदिर राधा वृंदावन चल रहा है ना, लॉकडाउन में मंदिर बंद कर दिया तो कौन आता था? कोई आता था कि गोविंदा में बैठ के आएंगे गिफ्ट संग खरीद के आएंगे? कोई नहीं आएगा. केवल आते हैं भगवान को दर्शन करने के और साथ में ये सब चीजें भी चल जाती. So that's why it's very important. For people in the renounced order, it's absolutely important. For others, they have their children, wife, they're attached to. They have some form to be attached to. ब्रह्मचर्य के लिए क्या फिर वो ब्रह्मन वाला हो जाएगा, impersonal हो जाएगा. And when we meditate on the Lord, then we also understand others are servant of the Lord. So अपना आपस का relation भी थोड़ा better हो जाएगा. बोले वो तो पुजारी है, उससे क्या झगड़ा करनी है. The same Lord whom I am meditating is offering bhoga and arti to the same Lord, na? So I am serving the same Lord, he is serving the same Lord. So relationship in Brahmacharya ashram are all centered around service and meditation on the Supreme Lord in this deity form. Radha, Vrindavan Chandra, Bhakti Samaj. सबका ऐसा ही है, ब्रह्मचारी का ही है, ब्रह्मचारी ग्रस्त का भी ऐसा ही है. We are servant of the same Lord. That's why there's samadhi. It's very essential. Those who are too engrossed in sense gratification cannot be allowed to participate in Archana or to touch the transcendental form of Radha, Krishna, or Vishnu deity. For them, it is better to meditate upon the gigantic Virat Rupa of the Lord, as recommended in the next verse. The impersonalists and voidists are therefore recommended to meditate upon the universal form of the Lord, because the devotees are recommended to meditate on the deity worship in the temple. Because they are not sufficiently purified, Archana is not meant for them. इसलिए नया कोई व्यक्ति आता है तो ब्राह्मण दीक्षा नहीं देते उसको बोलते किचन में जाके वेसल वॉशिंग को सब करते हैं ना वेसल वॉशिंग लेने धीरे धीरे प्यूरिफिकेशन होता है हरि नाम से तब जाके ब्राह्मण दीक्षा देते हैं. लेकिन शुरू में वही सेवा देते हैं. वो विराट रूप जैसा है. उसके अंदर पनीर का सब्जी बनाया दिख रहा है अभी उसको, उसके अंदर राइस बना चिपका हुआ है वो रगड़ रहा है. हमारे लिए वही विराट रूप. cleaning karo, vessel washing karo, book distribution karo. This is all Virat Rupa form because we can't focus on the personal form of the Lord as. And then when you focus on personal form, then even this Virat Rupa becomes a part of devotion service. Right? It's not that they become one. But beginning में तो वो दिखता है, beginning में वो बर्तन ही दिखता है. बर्तन दिखता है. बाद में वो बर्तन भी भगवान की सेवा से connected दिखता है.
So in this Archana, we have a group of devotees serving to the deities. So we don't know, mostly all of them follows, but we don't know who breaks which principle.
वो भगवान देख लेंगे.
तो फिर उसके वजह से पूरा टेम्पल सफर करता है क्या?
करता है नहीं. देखो वो पूरा प्रोसेस है ना, किसी ने उसको ब्राह्मण इनिशिएशन रिकमेंड किया ना. फर्स्ट इनिशिएशन ब्राह्मण इनिशिएशन कैसे रिकमेंडेशन हुआ तो उसका भी गलती है. उसके बाद उसने वाउस लिया, दोबारा रिकन्फर्म करना पड़ता है वाउस. देखो माइंड में जो भी हो, अगर ग्रॉसली कोई 16 माला कर रहा है, 4 नियम पालन कर रहा है ग्रॉसली, तो भी ऑफेंसिव नहीं माना जाता है. ग्रॉसली प्योरिफिकेशन करेंगे क्या? एकदम शुद्ध भक्त पुजारी थोड़ी लेके आएंगे हम बस. सो हमारे लिए अर्च विग्रह सेवा भी साधना का पार्ट है. प्योर डिवोटी के लिए वो साध्य है, मतलब वो उनका मेडिटेशन. हमारे लिए तो साधना का ही पार्ट है, इसलिए शेड्यूल होता है, इसलिए हम दौड़ के जाते हैं नहा धोते हैं. तो लेकिन अगर कोई रेगुलेटिव प्रिंसिपल ब्रेक कर रहा है, उसको भी रिएक्शन आएगा और बाकी को भी आएगा. रेगुलेटिव प्रिंसिपल को ब्रेक नहीं कर रहा है, लेकिन माइंड में थोड़ा वीकनेस है, वो सब इंडिविजुअल. बट रेगुलेटिव प्रिंसिपल को ब्रेक कर रहा है तो इट्स डेंजरस फॉर एवरीवन. यावन् न जायेत परावरेऽस्मिन् विश्वेश्वरे द्वश्चर्य भक्ति योगः तावत् स्थिरः पुरुषस्य रूपं क्रियावसाने प्रियतः स्मृति.
Unless the cross material parents the front of loving service unto the Supreme Lord, the sphere of both the transcendental and material world, we should remember and meditate upon the universal form of the Lord till the end of his prescribed duties.
Yeah. Unless that sense of loving devotion service is developed, which happens over a period of time by sincere desire and assisting the devotees who have that pure sense of loving service, then, till then one should continue with the meditation on the universal form. As long as one cannot meditate on this form because of impure consciousness, one should meditate on the universal form. So that's why it's material world is not a fit place for living entities because they are spiritually one with the Lord, and the material world, the living entities become conditioned by the laws of the material world. Lord wants all living entities, for his parts and parcel, to live with him in the transcendental world, and for enlightening conditioned souls in the material world, all the Vedas and the revealed scriptures are there expressly to recall the conditioned soul back home, back to God. Unfortunately, the living entities also suffering continually the threefold miseries of conditioned life are not very serious about going back to God. It is due to their misguided way of living, complicated by sins and virtues. That is why we recommend mode of goodness living, because when there is a misguided way of living, irregulated way of living, then already वो serious नहीं है और serious बनेगा नहीं वो. लेकिन regulated environment है, तो थोड़ा seriousness बढ़ेगा. That is the rule of, and that is the role of rules, regulation, policies. ये इनमें कितना भक्ति कर रहे हैं जरूरी नहीं है, लेकिन ये भक्ति के लिए एक प्रॉपर एनवायरनमेंट क्रिएट करते हैं जहां पे कि आदमी भक्ति में थोड़ा प्रगति कर सकता है अच्छे से. It is due to the misguided way of living, complicated by sins and virtues. Some of them who are virtuous by deeds begin to reestablish the lost relationship with the Lord, but they are unable to understand the personal feature of the Lord. The real purpose of life is to make contact with the Lord and be engaged in his service. This is the natural position of all living entities, but then there are impersonalists, and they should meditate on the Virat Roop. So, for less intelligent, Virat Roop is prescribed as it is told in the last chapter. In order to understand how the different planets, sea, mountain, river, bird, beast, human being, demigod, all that we conceive of are the different parts and limbs of the Lord's Virat form. This is also a kind of meditation on the absolute truth. As soon as such meditation begins, one develops one's godly quality, and the whole world appears to be happy and peaceful residential of all the people of the world. Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. Without such meditation, either personal or impersonal, all good qualities of the human being become covered with misconception regarding his constitutional position, and the world becomes a hell for the living being. So now how he attains Mukti, Brahman, that is being described in 15:1. Okay, read it. Read it. This is for a perfected yogi who has no material desire, who is meditating on the Paramatma form. So this is his way of leaving the planet. Read.
O king, whenever the yogi desires to leave this planet of human beings, he should not be perplexed about the proper time or place, but should comfortably sit without being disturbed, and regulating the life air should control the senses by the mind.
So when he does not, when he want to leave, he does not become attached the mind to time or place because he's going for a supreme destination. So what applies to immature yogi, then he has to see the muhurta and he has to see Uttarayan and all this doesn't apply. He can do it anytime. You're meditating on the Lord. This word describing giving up the body of a Bhakti Mishra yogi. When I desire to give up the body, he should not be attached to time, like Uttarayan or holy place. For yogi, time and place are not causes of perfection. Yoga alone is the cause of perfection. That means how he elevates the chakra, the pranavayu in the different chakra. So Bhagavad Gita 8.14 says, Anacheta Satatam. The person who is totally engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, who constantly remember him at every step, easily obtain the mercy of the Lord by entering into his personal contact. Such devotees do not seek an opportune moment to leave the present body, but those who are mixed devotees, alloyed with fruitive or empirical philosophical speculation, require an opportune moment. So for them, the moment are also described from 8.23 to 26. So, but these opportune moments are not as important as once being a successful yogi. Such a yogi must be competent to control his senses by the mind. And the mind is easily conquered simply by engaging it at the lotus feet of the Lord. Therefore, by such service, all the senses become automatically engaged. And this is the way of merging into the Supreme Absolute. So process of mental offering, giving up his mental elements into other, as he does not need them, that is being described here. Okay.
Thereafter, the yogi should merge his mind by his unalloyed instrument into the living entity, and then merge the living entity into the full self. And by doing this, the fully satisfied living entity becomes integrated in the supreme state of satisfaction, so that he ceases from all other excuses.
So this merging always solves question. एक element दूसरे में merge कैसे होता है, निकलता कैसे? I also have not researched fully into that. Just read from the purport what it says. He merges the mind into intelligence, intelligence into jiva, which witnesses intelligence and other element. Jiva into pure jiva into Brahman. You make them one, and that kind of labo pashanti happen. Then you stop all action. There's nothing to be done, so that everything is possible. Prabhupada gives it a little more clear. Functions of the mind are thinking, feeling, willing. When the mind is materialistic, it acts for material advancement, like discovering nuclear weapon. When the mind acts under spiritual urge, it acts wonderfully for going back to God. Therefore, the mind has to manipulate it by good and unalloyed intelligence. Perfect intelligence is to render service unto the Lord. One should be intelligent enough to understand that the living being in all circumstances is a servant of the circumstances. Either it can work under this dictate of desire, anger, etc., and that makes him perpetually unhappy. But when one actually feels this and turns his intelligence to inquiring about it from the right source, he gets information of the transcendental loving service of the Lord. And then he starts serving the Supreme Lord. Mind is brought to the service of the Lord. Therefore, the unalloyed intelligence and the mind are merged into the Lord, and thus the intelligent does not remain a seer himself, but becomes seen by the Lord transcendentally. When the living entity is directly seen by the Lord dictates to him to act according to his desire, and when the living entity follows him perfectly, the living entity ceases to discharge any other duty for his illusory satisfaction. So this is how Prabhupada defines in devotional way. That means the living entity's mind only thinks of Krishna, intelligent only makes plan to serve Krishna, and the living entity ceases from all kind of material desires to act upon. Only one desire, I'm a servant of Krishna, I should serve Krishna. That's Prabhupada defines as Labdho Upashanti, ceasing of all material hankering. And then the Jivan Mukta stage is described in 17 and 18 verse. Read it.
That transcendental state of Labdho Upashanti, there is no supremacy of relative time, which controls even the celestial demigods who are empowered to rule over mundane creatures. And what to speak of demigods themselves? Nor is there the mode of mental goodness, nor passion, nor ignorance, nor even the false ego, nor the material false illusion, nor the material nature.
So bhakti, because bhakti is a stage of active service. So bhakta at this labdopashanti state, he completely realizes his constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. And he acts, but he acts in pure form, pure way, not for sense gratification. So he is active in that. And for others like yogis, because they have not realized their true self, they are still, so they cease to act. They don't have to do, they're not doing active service. And that is why the yogis can reach at the most till Shantarati in the Vaikuntha. Because they are not active, right? So their mind, intelligence, all are purified now. But the desire to serve the Lord actively and please has not come. So they are pure in one way because they don't have any mental hankering. They appreciate the Lord. They take the Lord to be a person also. But they have no active desire to serve. So then everything ceases to act for them. And there's no supremacy of devastating time, no demigod, no goodness, nothing. They are beyond all of it. But no active service. But for a devotee purposes, the active service is there. Their active service begins. Devastating time by manifestation of past, present, and future does not act on the transcendental plane. So the condition of birth, old age, disease, they're there on all the planet. What to speak of? They are there till Brahma, what to speak of other demigods. But for a devotee on the transcendental plane, there is no such fear at all. That he says. Thus the false ego of I am the Lord of all I serve does not arise there. Material world, the false ego of the living being trying to lord it over the material nature, something like a moth falling in a blazing fire. The moth is captivated by the glaring beauty of the fire. When he comes to enjoy it, the blazing fire consumes him. In the transcendental state, the living fire being is pure in his consciousness, and as such, is no false ego to lord it over material nature. So, all this indicates that in the transcendental state, there is neither material creation nor the causal ocean for material nature. So, basically, Prabhupada says in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, first verse, purport, that this material world, which is a reflected version of the spiritual realm, it appears because reflection, what is the requirement for reflection? Some medium has to be there, water or mirror. So it says it reflects only on the medium of water of desire of the contaminated desire, water of desire of the living entity. As soon as the desire for enjoyment is gone, the water is dried up, then there's no reflection. So similar stage is being mentioned here, that when one comes to the pure stage, then one is above all the material modes and one is not under the control of any kind of demigod. He also compares the Brahma Mukti with the Vaikuntha Mukti. He said, Lord is a full-fledged form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge, but the formless Brahma Jyoti is simply eternity and knowledge, and Vaikuntha planet are forms of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. Therefore, devotees are admitted into the word of the Lord, get bodies of eternity, bliss, and knowledge, and others, they get into Brahma Jyoti. In the Bhagavad Gita, three principal subjects have been explained by Lord Shri Krishna, namely Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. But one can reach the Vaikuntha planet by the practice of Bhakti Yoga only. Other two are incompetent in helping one reach the Vaikuntha lokas, although they can, however, conveniently take one to the effulgent Brahmajyoti as described above. What is being described that in the Brahmajyoti, the effect of gunas is not there, the effect of demigods is not there, and any other misery is not there. But the ananda of serving the Lord is also not there. Which Sat and Chit is there. Next one.
Transcendentals desire to avoid everything godless, for they know that supreme situation in which everything is related to the supreme Lord's vision. Therefore, a pure devotee who is in absolute harmony with the Lord does not create perfection, but worships the lotus feet of the Lord at every movement, taking them into his heart.
So this is the Jivan Mukta state that people they avoid everything godless. They have realized their connection with the Lord. Gunas are not existing in, that was discussed in the last verse. It's because he has attained the if pursued form of Vishnu, Vaishnavam Padam. But the devotee like Narada understand this much more than Gyanis do. So, what do they do to attain it? They give a bad intelligence of the Gyanis involved in in-person Brahman alone. Because the Gyanis have no attraction for the Lord. But the Bhaktas, they do not have affection for things not related to Vishnu, Ananya Swahid. Yogis embrace the lotus feet of Vishnu, is worthy of worship. Basically, these verses are describing the state of Jnani, Yogi, and Prabhupada is giving the purpose Bhakti Yogi also. That's why it may appear, three modes and all, it may appear confusing. But Jnanis, through the process, they attain Brahmajyoti, which is a temporary state where the Sat and Chit feature are realized. The Yogis, by the same feature of attaining that state of mind, but then developing some affection for Paramatma, they can get into Vaikuntha and Shantavati. And the same process, by following the Bhaktas following the same process, because their relationship with the Lord, they attain a relation in Vaikuntha where there's a relationship like Dasarathi or whatever, or they may go to Golo. And Prabhupada defines the my abode, which is defined by Krishna in that. Pure devotees of the Lord are absolutely in harmony with the Godhead. And in other words, they always think of the Lord as their only dependable friend and well-wisher. They don't care for Brahma, they don't care. They have a clear vision of Vaikuntha planet. And such pure devotees being perfectly directed by the Supreme Lord do not create any artificial perplexity in the matter of transcendental understanding by wasting time what is Brahman, what is not Brahman. Nor do they falsely think of themselves as one with the Lord or argue that there is no existence of Lord separately or that there is no God at all. So they do not concern themselves with so many speculative theories. And apart from the class of impersonalists or non-devotees, there are also classes who pose themselves as devotees of the Lord, but at heart maintain the idea of salvation by becoming one with the impersonal Lord. And they wrongly manufacture their own way of devotion service by open debauchery and misleading others who are simpletons or devotee like themselves. So all of them are duratmas in the dress of Mahaprabhu. Such people are excluded from the list of transcendentalists. So in the Vaikuntha planet are factually the supreme residential places called Parampadam. Impersonal Brahmajyoti is also called Parampadam due to it being the rays of Vaikuntha planet. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says the impersonal Brahmajyoti rests on the person of the Lord. Brahmanohi Pratishtha Aham. So pure devotee of the Lord no longer waste valuable time in discriminating the Brahman from non-Brahman because he knows perfectly well that the Lord is Par-Brahman. The devotee tries to engage everything in his service and does not create perplexity by falsely lording it over the creation of the Lord. A specific disturbance created by a Duratma or crooked soul is due to his maintaining that the transcendental form of the Lord is something material. And now, how does he go there? That is being described. How does he attain that? Paravyam, Parampada. Read this, 894.
By the strength of scientific knowledge, one should be well situated in absolute realization and thus be able to extinguish all material desires. One should then give up the material body by clothing the air hood, through which to be evacuated with the heel of one's foot and by lifting the air from one place to another in the 6 primary places.
Yeah, so the 6 chakras will be described, but Prabhupada will focus on how, by the strength of knowledge, one should extinguish all the material desires. And the other 6 chakras are being described here. So, material desires are based on the false ego of the living being and are exhibited by the childish and useless activities to conquer the laws of material nature. Today also, the lecture was telling that people are trying to control over material nature, but actually they have no control. They create cars and then there are accident and parking place. And then they create car, then fly over, then flyovers, then underways, subways, in the ocean, over the ocean. So, all for car. so it leads to so much trouble. And then there's traffic jam, roadblock, so many. So with such a mentality, one is led to believe in the strength of metal science and discovery of atomic energy, space science, etc. But by such advancement in material science, the false egoist tries to challenge even the strength of the Supreme Lord, who can finish all man's tiny endeavor in less than a second. Well-situated person knows that the personality of God is all-powerful Vasudeva, and therefore is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And his duty, position is to cooperate with the Lord. So now he says that how the advanced yogi, expert yogi quits his body. He plugged the evacuating hole with the heel of the foot. There's an asana like that. I don't know if some of you know. There's a technical asana by which one put the heel and then sits on the heel, putting this evacuating hole on the top of it. And brahmacharis also do it. Brahmacharya practices also from the Gyan Yoga. अपन लोग तो चल के भी जब करते हैं क्या करेंगे. And then the life air moves on: navel, abdomen, heart, chest, palate, eyebrows, and then top. This is the mechanical process, and this is a physical endeavor for spiritual perfection. And then he says, in old days, such things were possible. In modern age, the influence of the Kali is so disturbing. Practically everyone is untrained in this art of bodily exercise. Concentration of the mind is more easily attained in these days by chanting the holy name of the Lord. The results are more effective than those derived from the inner exercise of the life years. And then in this verse, he says that same thing. The air is raised from navel to the heart, chest, root, palate. So their chakras are being described. Navel, there is Swadhisthana chakra. There is a Muladhara chakra which is there below navel. Then there is Swadhisthana chakra and Manipura chakra. Then Anahat chakra. Then Visuddha chakra. Then, because prana vayu is containing the soul, prana vayu is there. And finally, he leads the air gradually out to the base of the palate. So then he said there are 6 cycles of the movement of air, and the intelligent Bhakti yogi should search out these places with intelligence and in a meditative mood. So these 6 things are described. And then he says, thereafter, the Bhakti yogi should push the life air between the 2 eyebrows and then blocking the 7 outlets of the life air. 7 outlets means this and these 2, 4, 6, 7. So these 7 outlets. He should maintain his aim of going back home, back to Godhead. If he is completely freed from all desire for material enjoyment, he should then reach the cerebral hole, this Brahmarandra, give up his material connection, having gone to the Supreme. So this is the process by which yogis can leave the body. The process of giving up all material connection and returning home back to Godhead is recommended here. Condition is that one should be completely freed from material enjoyment. There are different grades of material enjoyment in respect to duration of life and sense gratification. Highest in Brahma's planet. All are but material enjoyment, and one should be thoroughly convinced that he has no need of such a long duration of life, even in the Brahmalok planet. Brahma Bhuna Loka Punaravartana. He must return home back to God and must not be attracted by any amount of material facilities. And this sort of detachment is possible to attain when one is acquainted with the supreme association of life, that is Param Drishtva Nivartate. One cannot be freed from material attraction unless he has a complete understanding of the nature of a spiritual life. And Prabhupada is very important. The propaganda by a certain class of impersonalists that spiritual life is void of all variety is a dangerous propaganda to mislead the living beings into becoming more and more attracted by material enjoyment. So this is the problem. Even devotees, one has to focus while Tani Sarvani Sanyamyam Matpara. So Gyanis only do Tani Sanyami, Tani Sarvani Samyam. And Sahajas only try to do Yukta Asita Matpara. They don't control the senses. Both have to be done. That's very, very important. And one has to know that every emotion experienced here, every even destruction experienced here, and its pure form, it's an attraction in the spiritual world. That's the very important part, because without that, now we will go into Gyani thing, especially brahmacharis, because they're well troubled by all material also. Oftentimes the mind turns to be in a Gyani mode, right? Where one may say, early days of ISKCON, they were saying, Mataji were telling, this is for devotees and this is for demon. They will call women as demon. Or sometimes they will recite that sloka of Yamunacharya. No, Prabhupada quoted the Prahlad Maharaj. Sukham hi tuchham. So they will spit. Yan Mathuna Digrami Sukham tuchham. They will spit also. And that Yamunacharya sloka that I spit at the thought. So he's spitting at the thought. They will spit in front of women. So these are all symptoms of aversions actually. And aversion and attachment are 2 sides of the same coin. Right? So one has to Tani Sanyam is nothing to give and take. But one should not contemplate on the averse version of that. Aversion will again lead to attachment. And all those who did that, later on they lived the same spirit. They all got married and they were all controlled by you. So that doesn't work like that. One has to know how things function in the spiritual realm. The spiritual realm, Adi Rasa is there. Srila Bhakti Saraswati Maharaj describes in Brahma Samhita. Adi Rasa is there because there's attraction between Krishna and the gopis, the Supreme Lord and his expansions. So now we are also Krishna's expansion. We are Mama Eva Vamshu Jiva Loke. So that attraction is there, but that attraction has to be rightly placed. Attraction is for Krishna only. Attraction is not that like Krishna is attracted to gopis that we get attracted. Our attraction also is like Purusha Prakriti. Morning we were discussing that. Who is Purusha, who is Prakriti, right? Attraction is for Krishna only. Not that we think that we are Purusha and we become attracted or attract them. That's not the thing. So by developing one's attraction for Krishna, then one's attraction for other things will fall in place. Right? Like, for example, in the spiritual world, there is an interaction with the Gopas and Gopis. There are a lot of fights. The holy, there is a fight, and all other Leelas also, there is a fight. It's not that the Gopas are like, Brahmacharya Ashram and Gopis are like, Krishna goes here and there. No, not like that. There are occasions when Gopas are involved. But both their attraction is centered around Krishna. And they have no attraction, is not that, every Gopa is having a girlfriend. Only Krishna is having all the Gopis. Gopas are not happy. So by understanding the reality and increasing our attraction toward Krishna, knowing that how things function in the spiritual life, then one will understand that attraction is a reflection, a perverted reflection. It is neither non-existent and not false in that sense, and neither it is true in one sense. It is just a reflection. Reflection cannot be called false because it's there, it is a reflection. It cannot be called true because it cannot give the benefit of the real thing. Reflection is a reflection, it has some value. What is the value? That reflection can indicate to the original thing. That's its value. So similarly, then the impersonal is when they say that the transcendental reality is without variety and without relationship and without emotion, then that will be a lot of harm. People take the relation and emotion of this world to be very serious and realistic, and they indulge into that. But when one understands real is there, the reflection, then they just take it as an indicator. Okay, this is a reflection. I can't get happiness by any of these relationships in the material world, by any amount of enjoyment. So let me just turn back there. So that is the path of bhakti. Prabhupada writes it again and again. In the 4th chapter, Vitaraga Bhayakro, the verse also Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita that impersonalists have done a lot of damage because they have propagated ultimate reality as a impersonalist. So then people think, "Arey, yahan pe kuch bhai, bandhu, girlfriend, boyfriend, kuch hai, idhar hi enjoy karo." But when the spiritual reality is projected as a, enlightened enjoyment, as a permanent enjoyment with relationship and this and that, then people become attracted. Otherwise, it's very boring. Because people have experience of enjoying the senses in a wrong way. When we say there's no enjoyment at all, they become very afraid. But when you say there's higher enjoyment, it's better. So somebody is eating everything, you tell him you fast. It's very difficult. He's already eating everything. Why will he fast? If you say 2 दिन बाद fast करना है, तो 2 दिन और ज़्यादा खाएगा. But you tell him that, okay, you come and we will feed you more, Mahaprasad. Then there's no problem. He was anyway eating, now also eating, but he's eating the right thing, the right spirit. So that is why the process of Bhakti Yoga is easy and is higher than all other processes and is perfect. The goal of reflection should only be to understand the original thing, nothing else. We cannot say it doesn't exist like Gyanis and all. We can't take that this is a reality like Karmis. Karmis take reflection reality and they break their head trying to find out the mangoes in the river. And Gyanis say that the mangoes are not existing in the river, so there are no mangoes anywhere. The Bhakta only knows that mangoes are reflected, are seen here, original are there on the tree, goes on the tree. So that's how the understanding is very important, because we also get carried away by all this karmi tendency of enjoyment, jnani tendency of total detachment, and yogi tendency of trying to achieve perfection in certain ways. So this is a very, very important part of the discussion here about the devotees and the yogis. Here in Akunta Drishti is mentioned. Akunta and Vakunta convey the same import, and only one who is aim fixed upon that spiritual world and personal association with the Godhead can give up his material connection even while living in this world. You see. who has his aim fixed upon that spiritual world and personal connection with the Godhead can give up his material connection even while living in the material world. And that is why in the path of Krishna consciousness, the chanting of the holy name, worshipping the deity, going to holy dham, all of this is there to develop a personal relation with the Lord. And that personal relation is the basis of becoming detached from the material world. That is higher taste. So this Param and Param Dham are mentioned in several places. One who goes to Param Dham does not come back. And the life here passes through seven openings as we discussed. Yogi blocks all of them. And then the life here naturally bursts forth from the cerebral hope. This is the sure sign of a great devotee leaving the material connection. A devotee can live in anywhere. Usually they live through mouths. When you see the devotee, not like something cracks happen. Wow. In ICU, the bomb is exploded. Gaya. Cerebral, no. Devotee. Mainly Krishna takes them wherever they take. Now there's a Kram Mukti for that yogi who is still impure. This is for that one who has no material desires. So he can reach transcendence by giving up all kind of covering. But this yogi in Kram Mukti, he takes away his covering. He takes up his covering of subtle body because he still has desire to enjoy. Desire to enjoy is stored in the subtle body. So he has a covering of subtle body and he goes to different planets and gradually become purified and goes to Vaikuntha. So that is now being described in the next 10 verses of Kram Mukti. Okay, please read.
However, if a yogi maintains a desire for improved material enjoyment, like transference to the topmost planet, or the achievement of the eightfold perfections, travel in outer space, which the Vaibhav, or a situation in one of the million planets, then he has to take away with him the materially molded mind and senses.
So, Sukadeva Goswami now expressing Krama Mukti. If one desire to attain Brahmaloka, Parameshtam, or playground of Khichras, who have all mystic abilities, rather with the mind and senses, one goes to enjoy with those planning. Doesn't leave his mind and senses. That is why our devotees, acharyas, they teach us the prayer. Many prayers where they say that I don't want this. Nanaka Prishtham, Nasaparameshtam, Na Sarvohamam, Na Rasadhipatyam, Na Yoga Siddhira Punarbhavam Va, Samanjashasta Virahya. So in the upper planetary system, there are facilities thousands and thousands of times greater for material enjoyment than in lower planetary system. Like Brahmaloka, Dhruv-loka, they're beyond Mahaloka. And the yogis there don't have to learn anything. They're born like that. Like, for example, if you see a baby mosquito or a baby fly, they don't have to take any training. They are born with that flying ability. So similarly there, those who go there, they already get these things automatically they get. They don't have to work for that. And the 8 kind of siddhis are being described here. All these expediencies are in common, as common and natural gift for the inhabitant of the higher planet. So Prabhupada describes all the 8 siddhis here. Anima, Lagima, Prapti, Mahima, Isitva, Vashitva, Prakamya, and Kamya, Shaita. Kamya, Vaseta. They do not require any mechanical help. Since the materialist is generally inquisitive to experience what is actually in some such planetary system, you want to see everything personally. As inquisitive person tour all over the world to gain direct local experience, hitchhiking, going around, and people are quite explorative. They go. The less intelligent transcendentalist similarly desire to have some experience of those planets about which he has heard so many wonderful things. And the yogi can go there. And the prime inclination of the materialistic mind is to lord it over material world, and Siddhi is mentioned above all features of the dominion over the material world. The devotees of the Lord are not ambitious to dominate a false and temporary phenomena. On the other contrary, a devotee wants to be dominated by the supreme predominator, the Lord. A desire to serve the Lord, the supreme predominator, is spiritual or transcendental, and one is to attain this purification of the mind and the senses to get admission into the spiritual kingdom. So if such desire is there, then no condemnation. If this desire is not there, then he will go through this, Mumbai, Virar to Churchgate, slow local. हर जगह रुकेगी. विरार के बाद जहाँ भी रुकता है, दहीसर, मीरा रोड, जोगेश्वरी, गोरेगांव, अंधेरी, बांद्रा, उसके बाद दादर, फिर मुंबई सेंट्रल, उसके बाद फिर शायद मुंबई सेंट्रल के बाद और 1-2 स्टेशन आएगा अपना ग्रैंड रोड आएगा, चरनी रोड, ग्रैंड रोड, देन चर्चगेट आएगा. उतना लोकल है. तो ये सब इतना 8 स्टेज आएगा इसमें. योगी को उसको सब देखना है. चर्च गेट कैसा दिखता है, दादर में क्या है, अंधेरे में क्या है, सब देखना है उसको, तो इसलिए we'll go through slow loka. Okay.
The transcendentalists are concerned with the spiritual body. As such, by the strength of their devotional service, austerities, mystic power, and transcendental knowledge, their movements are unrestricted within and beyond the material world. The fruity workers or the gross materialists can never move in such an unrestricted manner.
Yeah. Krishna Thakur says that these great yogis, they possess subtle bodies and they follow dharma and practice Ashtanga yoga and jnana. So they can go anywhere inside, outside the universe. Karma following people cannot do such things. So that's why Prabhupada says that some yogis, they are sitting in the Himalayas, but on the Kumbh Mela, they just appear from the Ganges. But they travel through another means. Like now, communication, like we speak something here and somebody is hearing on Zoom. So it is not that it's a mechanical way of transmission. It's waves and all these connections are there. Similarly, these yogis, they have those kind of siddhis. And they can sit at one place, go for bathing at another place, and come back. They don't have to book any train ticket, flight ticket. Just go. So those kind of things, they can travel anywhere with their subtle bodies, inside and outside the universe also. So Prabhupada says that materialistic scientists endeavor to reach other planet by material vehicle is a futile attempt. However, one can reach heavenly planet by virtuous activities. And transcendentalists who have nothing to do with the gross material body can move anywhere within or beyond the material world. Within the material world, there are different planets, and Nalmuni is such an example he gives. And by the strength of devotion service, austerities, mystic power, and transcendental knowledge, everyone can move like Nalmuni. Durasa Muni traveled throughout the entirety of material space 1 year only. The speed of the transcendentalist can never be attained by the gross or subtle material. So they can travel throughout the universe. That traveling is not difficult. Now he talks about where does such a devotee goes, such a person goes with the desire to involve. Yes.
Don't think when such a mystic passes over the Milky Way by eliminating Sushma to reach the eighth and Namalok. He goes first to Vaibhav, the planet of the deity of fire, wherein he becomes completely cleansed of all contaminations, and thereafter he still goes higher to the circle of Shishuma to relate with the personality of Godhead.
So he's yogi. He goes to the presiding deity of fire, the level of Swarga, by means of Akas, through the Susumna Nadi. And that Nadi is located outside the body since it is filled with luminaries. Prabhupada called it Milky Way. So, subtle, these are subtle paths to travel in the universe. Like till now also they are trying to work out what is this Bermuda Triangle. Because there, it looks like there's a shortcut. You can go to other planets, but you can't tell what is happening. So like that, there are some bypasses. Sushuma Nadi is one that you can go to the elevated planet. And it's not that it will take light years. Itna time lagega, wo sab nahi. Within fraction of a second, one can travel because one is traveling only with the subtle body, no gross body there. And then, having given up all impurities, viduta kalka, not being attached to anything, they proceed to a circle of stars located together in the form of a dolphin, which is Shishuma. At the tail of Shishuma is the pole star. So they approach. Prabhupada says the pole star and the circle thereof is called Shishuma, and the local presidential planet of the Supreme Personal Godhead. Before reaching there, the mystic passes over the Milky Way to reach Brahma Loka, and while going there, he first reaches Vaishvanar Loka, the place of the demigod controlling fire. On Vaishnava Loka, the yogi becomes completely cleansed of all dirty sins acquired while in contact with the material world. So like that. And then he moves further. Yes, from Shishumar where he goes.
This Shishumar is the pivot for the turning of the complete universe, and it is called the navel of Vishnu, Prabhudaksha Vishnu. The yogi alone goes beyond the circle of Shishumar and attains the planet Bharluka, where purified saints like Gurus enjoy a duration of life of 4,300,000,000 solar years. This planet is worshipable even for the saints who are but transcendently today.
So Maharloka, he goes to Maharloka where Bhragu and all other goes. And then after Brahmaloka, then he goes to Further, he goes completely travels to. He stays at Maharloka, and then at the time of final devastation of the complete universe, flame of fire emanates from the mouth of Ananta. The yogi sees all the plant of the universe burning to ashes, thus he leaves for Satyaloka by airplane used by the great purified souls. And there the life is calculated to be this much, Satyaloka planet. So when the Maharloka planet is burning, then they go to Satyaloka. After this, if he desire out of curiosity to stay there until the end of the day of Brahma, seeing the three world burning, he depart from Maharloka because of the heat and goes upward to Brahmaloka. That lasts for Brahma's life. Please. The purpose is Srimad Bhagavatam gives many clues about other planets far, far away from us, which modern plane and spacecraft cannot reach. And these statements are Haribol. Some other meeting is there. Okay. So Prabhupada says that all these statements are accepted by these great personalities. We should not therefore, see here is said, we should not therefore depend on the fragmental authority of materialistic science for knowing things beyond the range of scientific purview. For a common man, both modern science and Vedic wisdom are simply to be accepted because none of the statement, either of modern science or Vedic literature, can be verified by him. The alternative for a common man is to believe either of them or both of them. Now he said the Vedic way of understanding how is more authentic because it has been accepted by the great acharyas who are not only faithful and learned men, but also liberated souls without any of the flaws of conditioned soul. Modern scientists, however, conditioned soul liable to so many errors and mistakes. Therefore, the safe side is to accept the authentic version of Vedic literature. So he said that. And now he comes to Brahmaloka. What is that Brahmaloka? Then no bereavement, nor old age, nor death, then no kind of pain, no anxieties. Save that sometime due to consciousness, there is a feeling of compassion for those unaware of the process of devotional service, which are subjected to the unsurpassable misery in the material world. So this is a glorification of Satyaloka. And this is praise in disguise for the great compassion of the inhabitant of Satyaloka, that they are sometimes they are, what is this? There's a feeling of compassion for those unaware of the process of devotional service. Prabhupada just take that as the key thing here. Simply by becoming an academic scholar, one cannot understand the Vedic statement. One has to approach the real authority who has received the Vedic knowledge, as described in Bhagavad Gita 4.2. Evam parampara praptam imam raja rishayo vidu. In due course of time, the authorized succession was broken. Therefore, just to re-establish the true spirit of knowledge, the Lord again explained the same knowledge to Arjuna. Then Bhagavad Gita was explained, and then there are many foolish people who will not accept Arjuna's footstep. They create their own interpretations. Vedic knowledge is misinterpreted by those who are not qualified Brahmanas. A qualified Brahmana is one who has undergone strict training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. So then further he says, materialistic people do not understand this, false happiness, they try to reach other planet. After that, it all comes to an end. The intelligent person, therefore, should make a plan to return home back to Godhead. Such an intelligent person surpasses all the pangs of material existence. He is actually happy because he has no anxieties of material existence, but as a compassionate sympathizer, he feels unhappiness for the suffering materialistic man. And thus he occasionally comes before the materialistic man to teach them the necessity of going back to Godhead. All the bona fide acharyas preach this truth of returning home back to Godhead and warn men not to make a false plan for happiness in a world where happiness is only a myth. So that is the compassion they have, and by the compassion they come down on the planet to teach people. So if the yogi desired to stay until the death of Brahman, end of Brahma's life on the Satyalok, then he will attain liberation at the time with Brahma. If he desires liberation before that, there are 7 coverings of the universe, and that he has to pierce through, which will be described now. After reaching Satyaloka, the devotee is specifically able to incorporate it fearlessly with a subtle body and an identity similar to that of gross body. And one after another, he had gradually attained states of existence from earthly to watery, fiery, glowing, and airy until he reaches the ethereal stage. These are the layers on the top of the universe. So that yogi who is attaining that, he goes one after another. And to be in that layer, he has to have a subtle body of that kind. Right? Like we go to water, so we wear a swimming suit. If we go to a cold place, we wear a coat or something which will keep us warm. So he goes through each of the layers as is being described here. to go to reach the Brahman. First, he attained the first layer of what? 5 billion yojanas thing. Covers the universe within 5 billion yojanas. How does he do this? He takes the form of Artha Atmana. And other forms also should be understood in the same way. Goes through each of these layers, and then air, then finally he comes at. He then attains the layer of ether. It is a form of great soul, Brahad Atma Lingam, since it is worshipped as a form of Paramatma. Or it's called a great soul because ether sounds, essence of sound, which is the Vedas. So then he finally reaches ether, where which is worshipped as a form of Paramatma. So then he finally reaches the Brahma Jyoti, where he may stay or he may go to Vaikuntha planet. So, right, anyone can reach Brahmaloka, Satyaloka by dint of spiritual perfection and attain 3 different types of perfection from Brahmalokas. See here. One who has attained a specific planet by dint of pious activities in terms of his comparative pious, one who attained a specific planet by dint of pious activity attained places in terms of his comparative pious activities. One who attained the place by dint of Virat or Hiranyagarbha worship is liberated with the liberation of Brahma. One who has attained the place by dint of devotion service is specifically mentioned here in relation to how he penetrated the universe and then ultimately disclosed his spiritual identity in the absolute atmosphere of spiritual existence. Then it says, here Jiva Goswami says, all the universes are clustered together up and down, and each one of them is separately 7-fold covered. Waterfold, other things. So, describe the process of piercing all of them. So it's like creation being reversed, how to do integration, how to get rid of that. Finally, the fearless devotee of the Lord penetrates each one of them and ultimately reaches the absolute atmosphere where everything is the one and the same spiritual identity. Then the devotee enters one of the Vaikuntha planet, where he assumes exactly the same form as the Lord, engaged in the loving transcendental service. This is the highest perfection, beyond which nothing is to be desired or achieved by the perfect devotee. Then he talks about what
Devotee thus surpasses the subtle objects of different senses, like aroma by smelling, the palate by tasting, vision by seeing forms, touch by contacting, the vibrations of the ear by ethereal identification, and the sense organs by material activities.
Yeah. So it surpasses the subtle activities also. The pure spiritual spark, the living entity, thus become completely cleansed of all material contamination to become eligible for entrance into the kingdom of God. These subtle indriyas go, the spiritual indriyas get awakened because, yes, what is that word? Morning we recite. Second verse of Brahma Samhita, what we recite? Huh? Second verse, no? What we recite? Venum Kavantam Aravinda Dalayam. No, this one, what we recite in the morning, 2 verses it has played. Angani, yes, Sakalendriya. These are spiritual sources. So he gets freed from all the material part. And the devotee, thus passing the gross and subtle form of covering, enters the plane of egoism. And that status emerges in the material modes of nature, in the neutralization, thus reaches ego in Buddhism, egoism in goodness. After that emerges in Mahat Tattva, then he comes to the point of pure self-realization. He goes beyond the material creation. So that is the covering process, it's an uncovering process. When you go back to God, then all the covering has to be, जैसे होता है ना अपना पैकिंग करना होता है तो सब सामान डालते हैं वहां जाके सब सामान खोलते हैं फिर उसको पैक करते हैं तो वो वाइंड अप अनवाइंड अप चलता रहता है so now we are covered with the gross body and the subtle body ego in 3 modes so then when you go back then we have to leave those packaging and a pure soul comes from the pure realm and gets covered and the impure soul get uncovered and then it goes there. Purpose is pure self-realization, as we have several times discussed, is the pure consciousness of admitting one to be the eternal servant of the Lord. Prabhupada doesn't give any space for impersonal Brahman realization or, yogi or something. He says, pure itna hi, eternal servitorship of the Lord. And then further describes purification of the mind. We may also remember this connection that the process of gradual emancipation by the devotee in the manner mentioned above, although authoritative, is not viable in the present days because of people being primarily unaware of yoga practices. So he said, not 5,000 years back also Arjuna refused that process. Now it's not. Lord Chaitanya therefore made it easier for the prospective devotee of the present age in the following specific manner. Ultimately, there is no difference in the result. The first and foremost point is that one must understand the prime importance of Bhakti Yoga. So now Prabhupada gives a whole summary of the Bhakti Yoga. And then he says that Brahmana Bhamita Kanu Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasad Pai Bhakti Latapi. Then he says the seed should be sown in the Bhakti Yoga in his heart and nurtured it by the watering of hearing and chanting. The simple process of offenselessly chanting and hearing will gradually promote one very soon to the stage of emancipation. And there are three stages: offensive, Naam Aparadh, Na Mahabhas, offensive chanting, reflective chanting, and offenseless chanting. So, Naam Aparadh, Namabhas, and Shuddha. In the second stage only, Namabhas, between the offensive and offenseless, one automatically attains the stage of emancipation. And in the offenseless stage, Shuddhanam, one actually enters the kingdom of God. So to attain the offenseless stage, one must be on guard in the following manner. So he gives a whole thesis here. When we speak of hearing chanting, it means that not only one should chant the name of the Lord, but one should also read and hear the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So sometimes people ask, why don't we take a vow of reading also half an hour every day? Take a vow of chanting. Prabhupada says hearing and chanting means to hear and chant the holy name and also read Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. This will cause the seed to sprout in the heart to sprout, and then the creeper will grow. By systematically nurturing, the creeper will come to an extent to penetrate the covering of the universe. And then it will go to Vishnu Loka, the process will continue. But the working devotee must always be mindful so that the creeper which has grown will not be cut off. Therefore, he should be mindful of the following consideration. So it gives a whole process of gardening. Offenses at the lotus feet of pure devotee, like madden elephant, then one should put a fencing around that. Weeds are grown, the weeds are too uprooted. These weeds are of material enjoyment, bhakti, and then mukti, and puja la pratishtha. Other weeds are there like, jiva himsa and pratishtha and all that is there. Sufficient care not taken, then the watering person will not only have to breed the weeds, they will stunt the healthy growth of the main creeper, resulting in no fructification of the ultimate requirement. The devotee must therefore be very careful to uproot the different weeds in the very beginning. And by so doing, devotee is able to release the fruit of love. So Prabhupada gives a whole elaborate description of how to not get into this krama mukti, but rather get into this krama mukti of ado shraddha to prem. That is our krama, not mukti, it's a krama of attaining the prem, staircase for attaining the prema bhakti. So Prabhupada is very elaborate, you can all read it at comfort level, and just going through Duranto Express. Only the purified soul can attain the perfection of associating with the person to Godhead and complete bliss and satisfaction in his constitutional stage. Whoever is able to innovate such devotion's perfection, never again attracted by this material world and never attracted. So here, here Krishnacharya Thakur is referring to merging into Brahma Jyoti. But Prabhupada is saying about the perfection associating with the personality of God and complete bliss and satisfaction in his constitutional state. So he knows the ultimate goal, because this is not merging into Brahma Jyoti is not ultimate. So he says, Gatim Bhagavatam, to become merged in the rays of Parabrahman as desired by Brahmavati impersonation, not a Bhagavatim perfection. Bhagavatas never accept merging in the impersonal rays, but always aspire after personal association. And there are Vaikuntha planet, and the Bhagavata can enter one of the Vaikuntha planet. The impersonalist who aspire to merge in impersonal Brahmajyoti have no conception, loving devotion service to him. Maybe compared to certain species of fish who, being born in river and rivulet, migrate to the great ocean, but they cannot stay there they want to come back to the ocean. Similarly, when the material become frustrated in an attempt to enjoy the limited material world, he may seek impersonal liberation, merging the causal ocean or with the impersonal Brahmajyoti. However, neither the causal ocean nor the impersonal Brahmajyoti have got any superior substitute for association and engagement of the senses. The impersonalist will fall down into the limited material world to become entangled once more in the wheel of birth and death. But any devotee who enters the kingdom of God by transcendental engagement of his senses and devotion service and who associate with the liberated souls and the person rewarded there will never be attracted to the limited surrounding of the material world. So this is one of the very vital thing, because this thing often comes that impersonalist, when they're Jivan Mukta, do they fall down then only? Because Prabhupada oftentimes say that impersonalists fall into social service. That's a fall down because they are going for Brahman and they are now doing Mithya service. But here, if you read this part of the purport, he says that, he may seek impersonal liberation or merging, and this, however, as neither causal ocean nor impersonal Brahma Jyoti afford any superior substitute for association and engagement of the senses, the impersonals again fall down. So actually, Prabhupada at certain places writes that even if a person has reached there, he falls down. This also is indicated, but here he's saying seeks, so it can be taken into two ways. But Prabhupada in his writings at least is very clear, although there are other acharyas who say that if somebody reaches Brahmajyoti, he doesn't fall down. Prabhupada's version is that because of the need of the service and the engagement, then even from Brahmajyoti, literally going there, one falls down. Not only mentally one has got given mukta, but even while going there, one may fall down. So he says, but any devotee who enters the kingdom of God, he never falls down. The same is said about in the Bhagavad Gita. And then he talked about Santam and Anandam. These two is benediction of peace and satisfaction. Impersonalist desire of becoming one with the Supreme Lord. That's a myth only. So neither the impersonalist nor the yogi can have real peace, but the devotee can have full peace. And attainment of love of God means complete freedom from all other attraction. Conditions for the many aspirations, being a religious man, rich man, but they should be rejected by the prospective devotee who actually want to revive his dormant love of God. The impure devotee aspire after all the above mentioned material things by perfection of devotion. But a pure devotee, none of these things of the above condemnation. So one can attain the stage of love of God by pure devotion service or by a learned labor of love for the sake of devotee lovable object or proximity of God. So then he should not worship demigod, he should give us this idea of becoming one with the Lord. So this is the thing that even though we may be in an institution where things may be highlighted and praised, but by reading the scriptures, one should know that actually I'll attain love for God and only by becoming greedy for that love. Right? And that is why it is not that, then there are more people praising materialism than the devotees who are praising achievements. Correct or not? Then we might follow them, then there are more majority. So institution will have its own way, but individually we have to be focused on what scriptures are saying. And as I told that, we continue our part of life. So then we'll stop here. Now it says, Your Majesty Maharaj Parikshit, know that all that I have described and applied to your proper inquiry just according to the version of the Vedas, and it is eternal truth. This was described personally by Lord Krishna to Brahma, with whom the Lord was satisfied upon being properly worshipped. So he said there are two paths. These are the path to Brahma, direct liberation, which is described in verse 21. The second path is gradual, which was described starting verse 22. These paths are described in the Vedas, not observed by me. So Vedas describe direct liberation also, gradual liberation also in the Vedas. And then he says, Prabhupada says, the two different ways of reaching the spiritual sky and thereby getting emancipation from material bondage. Direct process of reaching the kingdom of God, or gradual process through the other higher plant of the universe are set forth according to the version of the Vedas. And then he's quoting the same verse there. Those who are free from material desires, how they can reach. And the later is confirmed also, how they can reach. So there is no difference between the version of all the authorities. The truth is eternal, and as such, there cannot be any new opinion about the truth. That is the way of knowing the knowledge contained in the Vedas. It is not a thing to be understood by one's erudite scholarship or by the fashionable interpretation of mundane scholars. There is nothing to be added and nothing to be subtracted, because the truth is the truth. One has to accept, after all, some authority. Modern scientists are also authority for the common man for scientific truth. The common man follows the word of the scientist. This means the common man follows the authority. Vedic knowledge is also received in that way. The common man cannot argue about what is beyond the sky or beyond the universe. He must accept the version of the Vedas as they are understood by the authority of succession. So basically, it comes to authority, whether somebody accepts scientists as authority or archer as authority. Now, the path to attain the ultimate perfection of all is described. Now, he will describe about direct devotion service. So Prabhupada, even in those processes, described about bhakta only. So that is why it becomes a long purport and elongated thing, because that verse is actually talking in context about merging into Brahman or something. And Prabhupada says, no, the perfection, the highest perfection is to be fixed in the constitutional position only, the Supreme God. So we will continue from here for tomorrow. But it looks like we'll meet Saturday also. So I hope you are there, because already we predicted it can't be there. I'm not able to go faster than this. So we'll continue from this verse tomorrow, because different sections starting. Namayan, you are there. I thought it was somebody else.
Yes, bro. Hare Krishna.
Bhakti Vaibhav.
I couldn't complete, bro, last time, so I'm
Huh?
and especially getting your association.
I'm
I have not completed Bhakti Vaibhav, bro. I started, but I couldn't complete.
You're already living Bhakti Vaibhav and Bhakti Vedanta.
Waiting.
Your service attitude and desire to serve these others to amazing. Thank you for your kind association. Meet tomorrow then, okay?
Yes, bro. Thank you, bro.